every Patriots game.
Looking to the end zone, trying to keep the play alive. Falling down, he goes to the end zone. He's got it! Touchdown!
WBZFM and HD Boston. 98.5, the Sports Hub. A Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Make it 5 straight wins for the Celtics and 9 in their last 10 games following a 118-105 victory over the Knicks at TD Garden yesterday. Jason Tatum followed up a triple-double with 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists.
I just have an understanding of what goes into those, so just tightening up our defensive discipline, game plan execution, and our offensive execution. So just fighting to be disciplined in those things throughout the game, knowing that teams are going to make runs, especially a great team as they are. So I think we're doing a better job of our executing, bringing it back, right? Understanding what starts a run and then what ends a run.
Joe Mazzulla's team led by as many as 27 in the third quarter. They open up a road back-to-back tomorrow night in Toronto. In other NBA news, ESPN is reporting that Philadelphia is considering surgery on the knee of Joel Embiid after more swelling this weekend. He'll undergo tests in a couple of days. The Bruins' next game isn't until tomorrow night when they play Toronto at TD Garden. But right now the team has some trouble to deal with. GM Don Sweeney told the media yesterday it's unlikely defenseman Hampus Lindholm will be back this season, and there's no timetable for the return of Charlie McAvoy, although he is improving following shoulder surgery. Alex Ovechkin had a hat trick and a 7-3 Washington win over Edmonton. He's now 13 goals away from setting the NHL's career record, and the Red Sox suffered their first loss of spring training yesterday, 8-7 in Toronto and Fort Myers. Garrett Crochet, 26 pitches in his Sox debut. That lasted an inning and 2/3. He struck out 4. Alex Bregman 3 for 3 in his Red Sox debut with a homer. Tanner Houck starts against the Yankees in Fort Myers late this afternoon. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Awaken 180 with a 98% customer satisfaction rating and thousands of 5-star reviews. The choice is clear. Awaken180weightloss.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Get the
There's the potential there for big stuff.
98.5, the Sports Hub app. Get the app.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher.
Brett Toucher on Instagram. Follow and see dog humping videos.
And Hardy.
I'm going to withhold sex.
On 98.5.
Hello. Hey there.
Yo.
Can we use this for the radio? What? Let me hear you say, oh. Na 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 na.
Crush me, mommy.
Just not enough booty to go around?
Say my name.
I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the Pope.
I'll chase you around a little bit.
Wow. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Instagram.
I want to dip it in, boy.
Toucher and Hardy.
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fans and having some fun.
On 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Let's go.
8-5.
Duval.
That's right. Oh boy, you can. I've watched that maybe 1,000 times. You can, because of the internet. That 2 seconds you can watch it. It just requires 2 seconds.
Duval.
It loops and loops and loops. You can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube. We need to take. I'll talk about it at 7, but we need to take emergency measures with YouTube. Not any of the content on YouTube. But one of the things featured when you look us up needs to be changed this week.
Oh, okay.
And I will fund it and organize it, but it needs to be changed this week.
Okay.
But and no one's feelings will be spared. It needs to be changed, and I will explain just how bad it's gotten.
Okay, so, and we'll, like you said, we'll do it at 7 o'clock. But if we were to go on to the Toucher and Hardy or 98.5, the Sports Hub portion of YouTube, would we be able to look around and try and guess what you think needs to be removed?
Well, you already know, really. We've already discussed it on and off the air. But you'll not. It has nothing to do with the experience of watching the show. You'll still be able to comment and everything else. It has to do with, really the picture. The picture. And I will discuss a conversation I had with someone about that picture. And just how low the depths have gone with that picture. The worst picture ever taken. The everything about it is terrible. The lighting's terrible. The photo's terrible. The way we're positioned is terrible. And I'll explain how terrible it is. And I knew it was going to happen too. I'm very lazy with these things, and I don't care generally. And I didn't care for a long, long time. But it's such a bad picture that I have to. My vanity has gotten in control. I realize I'm not attractive, but this picture is really it's people think I'm a different person than I am. It's got into a whole this new thing. This has got to be done this week because it has to do with the way we're positioned. Because now it's not just my ugly face. It's like there's a bunch of other stuff going on. So I need to get it out of there. My teeth don't look like that. I need them all out of there.
Well,
I need that out of here, and I don't care. Everyone could hate me, not you guys, but everyone who takes it weird, whatever moron took the picture, they can all be mad at me. But and it's going to look different than the other photos, and I'm just going to have to fight. I'm going to have to fight for what's right. Because really, do uniformed photos between the shows matter, or does a photo that's at least somewhat, I'm getting it too early, but somewhat indicative of the show, even though none of us are attractive, I am the ugliest by far, I just can't have it be that. I can't. It's a negative in my life. It's a big, and not listeners negative. It's like people that I meet are asking questions. They are assuming things that it is now just quite ridiculous. So I'll explain that at 7, but I need it out of here. And anybody who wrongly gets offended by it here at the station or thinks it's going to be something on their plate, it just, the consequences of it have far outreached any minor battles that we would have with it. And I mean, you can take it, you could put a phone on your ass and take the photo. I don't care. I can tell you one thing. We're not going to be posing like that.
You mean you're not going to be seated in a chair and then Wallach and I will be flanking you on behind each shoulder?
Oh, yeah. If you know there's a chair there.
Is that one of the issues with what people are seeing or missing?
Someone might have thought we were all standing.
Oh, man. Someone who's dumb enough to think that you're 4 feet 2 inches tall?
I don't know if they're dumb.
No, but if you just glance at it real quick, I'm looking at it right now, I'm like, oh, I could see that.
Yeah,
okay.
and
it's like Danny DeVito. You look like Danny DeVito.
I look like a little person.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's no way. There's no way we're not retaking that photo. And I'd rather just have it have a piece of poo on it than that photo.
Well,
it's got into this crazy thing. What, your wife what?
No. The one thing that I'd suggested, I don't think we can do that thing.
I don't remember what that was.
The AI.
Oh yeah, whatever. I don't even care. Like I honestly
because it only works and it's amazing. I researched a little bit more, but it's only for single photos.
Yeah, whatever.
It doesn't work for a group shot.
All I need is just something. Even if it just isn't a picture of us. Even if it's just a logo, like anything. In fact, maybe they could just put a logo up today. Just slap a logo on it. How long would that take on YouTube? I need to get that down for personal reasons. I need to get that down. It's negatively affecting my life. And again, not like, oh, Fred, you're ugly. Like that's fine. That is what it is. But I mean, just it's like it's embarrassing. It might be the worst photo of me at that weight I was at the time that's out there. I mean, Ambi and Fred was a cooler photo than that. It really was. I'd much rather have it be Ambi and Fred. I could live with that. This photo is, and it's almost odd that it was taken in a setting where they took more than one picture. It's very bad. So, and it's all horribly conceived, and I just didn't think there was so much going on at the time because it was a new show, and there was a lot of like drama and like not within the building, but like there was just drama, and there was a lot to think about. And the photo was the last thing I was thinking about, and now it's been over a year, or it's been a year, a little over a year, and since the photo was taken, the photo we'll call it, and now it needs to be taken down.
I get out of ambulance. Oh.
Yep. Oh. I would rather have that up. I swear to God, I'd rather have that up.
With your eyes closed and your mouth open.
Yes.
With
100%.
The flat brim hat.
1,000% than that photo that's up there. There could not be a worse photo. I mean, there's probably some photo of me when I was at my fattest, like, standing there that would be real bad if you like went real close on my face. But at least I would be standing next to you guys and not shoulder height to you. It's a problem. It's a problem. So there you go. Well, Hardy is back. It's very exciting. We will get into his trip later on the show. And
let me tell you something. Leaving a week ago Sunday morning was one of the least enjoyable drives I've taken in a long, long time. Do you remember what was going on? Not this past Saturday, but the weekend before, Saturday night into Sunday morning.
Because I was up hacking away in my driveway, snow, sleet, ice. Oh, it sucked.
Well, driving in that at 6 o'clock in the morning before the plows had really been out, and I don't even think they could keep up. I was nervous for everybody on the road, for the people who were off the road, which we saw 3 before we even got up, a mile onto the highway. And then, look, we all grew up in these elements, so we know what we're doing. You know how fast you can drive, how fast you can't drive. I went around somebody. I'm like, okay, you don't need to go 40. We're on the expressway here. We can, pump it up a little bit. And I went over to the far left lane to get around this person, the lane, least traveled at that point on that morning. Started drifting a little bit, started going off the shoulder. No way of saving it, really. Just had to kind of steer it back and hope I didn't overcorrect.
Ease back on the accelerator. Yeah.
Holy crap. The whole family in the car on the way to the airport, that was enough to make it pucker up to the size of a pencil point. But then the people start riding your ass. I'm like, dude, you're in a Toyota Celica. You're going to die. And I even told Marcy, I'm like, I don't think we should take the express to the airport. She said, why not? I said, because it's that weird ramp and there's no way a plow has been down here yet. And I'm kind of projecting ahead, but I remember once you come over that last rise, you got to make the turn down if you're coming on the expressway north, the express to the airport. You got to take that at 35 miles an hour in good conditions. Mm-hmm. What is that, 5 miles an hour, the way we were driving? And sure enough, there's somebody crawling up my tailpipe. I'm like, this is going to go bad. This is going to go bad for somebody. But we made it there, thankfully. And I can't remember a time I was more happy to be away from here all week. Holy crap, was it miserable here or what?
Yeah, you picked a perfect week not to be here. We could have been living in Antarctica there for about 72 hours. It was bad.
Yeah, and it was just a sheet of ice. They cleared the roads, but if you were walking around, if you had to walk the dog or something, you were walking on just a sheet of ice.
Sidewalks in my neighborhood were lousy until yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then even then, yesterday, it was almost more treacherous because they would be good 95% of the time, and then there would just be a little thing of ice. The only good thing about my dog is that if I slip, he can kind of feel it, and he'll look back. Oh. He'll stop and look back.
Look at that.
But the problem is the minute he would get on the dry land again, he started taking off, not thinking that I was still on the ice.
Yeah.
So I had to catch myself several times because once with the snowbanks, once you get walking down a icy thing of an icy patch of which I say patch, but an icy section of sidewalk. There's no getting off of it because there's the snowbanks on either side. So I would be with my dog and say that there would be, a tenth of a mile of ice. I'd have to keep catching myself on the snowbanks, walking with my hand on the snowbank if it was because it's the only other thing is not walking that dog.
I just feel bad.
That's not happening.
I feel bad for the runners because, now they're really forced further out into the street, and you got to get that running. I mean, there's no way you're not going outside and running.
My son is
trained for the marathon.
My son has his driver's test coming up. Well, you guys aren't in the worst of it. My son has his driver's test coming up next month, and so I'm like, let's take he's got a car, so I'm like, let's take your car and get used to it and drive around. You can drive me a couple places. I'll let you. And we were driving down Commonwealth, and he was going to a friend's house, and there's that section of Commonwealth where it's just for runners and bikers.
Oh yeah.
And they don't like cars. They don't because they don't own them, and they're training for the marathon, so you better get out of their way. And I was explaining to him, if anyone gives you any crap, that just don't take it personally because they for some reason they feel like they're of the gilded class. Like when they're running down this particular section, first of all, there's no reason, and for all of you, and even if I know you, there's no reason for you to be wearing. Fine, you wear compression tights. I guess I get it. It's cold and they're easier to run in. Sure, maybe they're warmer. Fine. Why do you don't have to put a pair of loud, like flowery short shorts over them? That's unnecessary.
But
You're
that's
doing
fun.
that to be cute.
Well, that's fun. But I would agree with you. You got to tell your son or anyone else not to take it personally because the people who are out there running in this weather, in the street, well into the traffic lanes are clinically insane. There's something medically wrong with them. So you can't, if they get angry with you, it's just like some guy yelling at, to you about the end of the world when you're trying to go to a hockey game. You're like, okay, all right.
Yeah. And it's that
It's not me.
It's that area of Commonwealth. It's where that's the particular place where they're very territorial. You'll hear stories of like surf gangs in like Manhattan Beach where they're like locals only.
This is our break, dude.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. They like, hit you with a bottle or something. Like, they bring like a broken bottle out there and like stab you. It's one of those things. Like they're very territorial and they all have cars obviously because they all live in the suburbs. So they all have cars. But for that time where they're running, their idea is like, look at you in your stupid car while I'm here running. And now I know that's what the mentality is, and it's nonsense. So I told my son, I'm like, look, obey the laws and everything, but if you stop and then you start going and someone goes like, don't take it personally. Because, when you first start driving, you are so nervous that you're doing something wrong when someone like beeps or yells, like you take it real seriously. I'm like, this is a situation where it's not you, it's them.
Have you been out driving with him a lot yet?
Yeah, a fair amount. I haven't been on the highway yet, but I think I'm going to do that today.
The one thing that I never got used to, and hopefully she's kind of figured it out a little bit, where the delivery trucks stopped on the side of the road.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah, I spent a lot of time looking at my phone. I don't want to go. I don't want to be like making noises and like
grabbing the wheel.
Yeah, like being annoying. So I just
the worst.
and I follow
like that
now
when
on
we were
Instagram.
driving.
I follow this thing called crashes on film or crashes caught on tape or something. It's just all car crashes, and they're gnarly ones where like dudes get out of the car, like they just like they walk out. So I'm like, if we get an accident, like chances are everyone's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want to see it coming, like because when you see it coming is when you brace and then you get hurt. So I spend a lot of time on my phone. Like I could, like I'll even be like reading something. I don't want to look, and I'm not nervous. I just don't want to tell him what to do. But he was pulling out of our street yesterday, and he hit a thing of ice, like like on the right, like on the shoulder, like he was hugging the shoulder, and he like felt it give because it's 2-wheel drive unless I put in 4, and he felt that, and that flipped him out, that freaked him out. We didn't even fishtail, but he was like, whoa. So he knows, but yeah, the delivery trucks bother me, so I can only imagine what they do, and the delivery trucks are getting a little. And if you drive one too, what you're doing, you're getting a little flip it with the way you're letting it rest. You're keeping the ass end of that van out well into the lane.
Yeah, I mean, but I went around one yesterday that was like not even pulled over to the side of the road because there's no way to pull over. Like the snowbank was there, so.
Well, I've seen a couple where they're pulling the front of the van to the snowbank and like leaving the van ass out, completely covering one lane into the other lane, and then if you, and I would imagine if you said anything to them, they would almost take it as a victory. So, and you're doing it. I mean, if you're doing it, you're doing it, and you might think I'm only doing this for a second, and I got a lot of deliveries, but I mean, you do know you're doing it. I'm not putting you down. Maybe I do the same thing, but you're doing it. All right, look, the Celtics played last night. Sweeney talked over the weekend. There's a lot to talk about. We will have all that for you coming right up.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Fred. Seldom right and never wrong.
Right here. Set Toucher or is that Hardy?
Kinda looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happened, so change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. Hardy, what is going on?
Don Sweeney speaking about all things Bruins and a lot of subjects to be covered post Four Nations face-off and trade deadline and players and injuries. So let's start with I guess the closest thing to news that Sweeney had to say.
Thought it was a good opportunity to just clarify a little bit, because I know you guys asked Joe, rightfully so, in regards to Hampus and his return to play and his timeline, and probably a follow-up with Charlie. Hampus, unfortunately, is unlikely to return for the rest of the season. You know, as everybody knows, he had a significant knee injury. He fractured his patella, had surgery.
And that's it. Thank you, Hampus Lindholm, for your service. Not likely to return this season, which means there's no way in hell he's going to play again.
So if you're Martian and you're hearing all this, and you know you've always wanted to play with one organization, obviously you like playing with Boston. It's one of the better organizations in hockey, and you just got done playing the whole Four Nations thing.
Yes.
Would you, in your last year of your contract, wouldn't you, if you really thought about it, almost rather be traded to a contender, spend 3 months playing competitive hockey, like you don't have to sell your place in Boston or anything, and then perchance just sign back here in the offseason? You know, sure, you didn't technically play with the same team your entire career, but, I mean, for the team, it makes all the sense in the world, because, I mean, if you're going to re-sign him, just let him go and get something for him. I think that you could get a legitimate return, because there's no team selling. Like, you're going to be one of the few teams selling, and there's not another piece like him out there. So I would assume if I was him, I'd want to almost get traded. Go ahead.
Another piece of this is, why come back once you're gone? Because you're going to be the captain of a team that isn't going to be very good for the next 2, 3, 4 years.
The reason for that is that you love Boston, you're super famous here, and your family's here, and that you don't want to move them. That I understand. This is real. Like, he's old for hockey. Not an old man, but he's old for
36.
hockey.
36.
Yeah, so, like, there's probably doesn't want to, like, uproot his family and everything, because you start thinking like that at that age. Like, he's got a cup and everything else. I'm talking about just this year. Like, for minimal disruption, you can go and play playoff hockey for a few months. I mean, this is a late-ass trade deadline. You can go, you're there March, April, May, basically. Mm-hmm. You're there for 3 months. And, you know, you're flying back and forth. So, and then just re-sign with the Bruins again if you want to stay in with Boston. That makes sense for everyone. I can't think of a reason to keep him on the team this season. And even if I was Brad, I'd kind of like just want to go. Get out of here for a while.
It's not going to affect him other than, you know, personally. And, you know,
and very minimally there. Like 3 months of getting traded to a contender, I don't care where it is in North America, is not that big a deal.
Right.
I mean, you're on the road anyway.
Right. But the fact is, you know, think about Zdeno Chara. You know, do people look at Zdeno Chara any less because he finished his career elsewhere? Or can he walk around Boston and still essentially never have to buy a meal here again?
Walk around here and Ottawa. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Ottawa and here. I mean, he's Hall of Famer. I mean, Brad Marchand's a Hall of Famer, most likely. And, you know, he'll go in as a Bruin.
You just wonder, and it's an interesting point, Fred, on the heels of that win for Team Canada, does that, you know, make him feel like, God, that feels a lot better than grinding it out
Yes.
for, you know, a point in an overtime loss. every other night.
Right, and that you also then played with other guys from other teams.
And how much fun was that?
Exactly. And so the level of, because the Bruins aren't making the playoffs and they have to sell. That bill has come due. They put it off, rightly so. I'm not challenging their managing. They didn't draft well with the picks they had, and now the bills come due, and now they have to sell. And look, Frederick and Beecher, whatever the hell else, whoever you else want to trade, you'll get nominal return. But some team could get desperate. Look, they're not going to give you 17 prospects for Marchand, but you could get a second-round pick and a prospect for Marchand for a rental. I bet you. I mean, I'm not a hockey expert on return of trade.
Yeah, I don't know.
But there's so many teams in the mix. Like, for instance, the Red Wings won't be getting rid of players at the deadline. They're a young team, like, in position to maybe do something. I don't think, like, Ottawa would get rid of players right now. There's a bunch of teams there that are on the younger end of the spectrum that are still fighting for a playoff spot. The Bruins are a team that could sell and, keep their core, and they have to.
You got to be pretty far out of it and have your prospects be pretty bleak, I would say, in general, in the NHL, to be a big seller at the deadline, because teams always think they have a chance.
And that's what the narrative's kind of been around the Marchand thing, if you read it nationally, is that Marchand could be, like, the biggest piece moved by a team at the deadline. Yes, Joe.
Here's what the Bruins have to sell, okay? Unrestricted free agents, Marchand, Trent Frederick, and then guys like Riley Tufte, Cole Koepke, Justin Brazeau, Parker Wotherspoon. Restricted free agents.
He got stabbed. One of those guys.
I'm not doing it.
Okay.
I'm not doing it. You got me twice.
With a knife?
I'm not.
Oh, Wotherspoon.
Nope. I fell twice for it. Not going to happen. Restricted free agents, Morgan Geekie, John Beecher, as you said, Oliver Wahlstrom, and Mason Lowry.
Oh, boy, you don't want to see Lowry go. You got to take it easy. Come on. So none of those names except for Martians. I mean, Trent Frederick is a piece teams
Are
would
there
want.
any other lyrics to that song?
No.
I'm trying to think. Is that just it? They just keep
it's just the hum of a van engine.
Slow ride, take it easy over and over again?
Yeah.
It's just the hum of a van engine and shag carpeting being rubbed upon by 18-year-old ass. That is kind of what's going on. And the smell of sex in the air.
With a knife.
Yeah.
The song is 8 minutes and 10 seconds long.
Well, it's a
and
slow
probably
ride.
needed to be 3.5 tops.
Yeah, the 70s were a time where they just put it in neutral and said, let's go.
Yeah.
People just kind of took what came to them in the 70s. Weed was was running wild. Cocaine wasn't addictive.
No.
There was a bunch of stuff going on back then.
Whether you're taking a slow ride, if you're the low rider don't drive too fast. The low rider don't use no gas. He's just idling around town. Low rider.
I remember when I was a kid and put it on WRAF the few times I did, and going, there was every second of music that came out before I was alive was terrible. I'm sure people feel that way now, but the stuff Riff played, Ted Nugent, Low Ride,
Foreigner,
Foghat, Boston, all terrible.
When I'm scheduling music for that Rock 92.9, I got an hour coming up short. I'm slow riding that sucker. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
It's going right in there.
Look, you got to spend 10 minutes a day doing that. So
Slow ride it is. Yeah, 10. That's being generous.
Yeah, it's a lot of thought being put into this stuff nowadays.
Something else that Sweeney had to be asked about was the treatment of one of his players when he was not necessarily with the team. Still in the building, but not with the team.
Was the organization happy with the care that Charlie got after the injury in Montreal?
That would be Charlie. He's talking about Charlie McAvoy. Was the team happy with the care that he got?
Again, the care that Charlie received here is what's most important from a standpoint of where his health is at now, and that's all that really matters. Dr. Hazes' team, as I stated, did a great job.
Yeah, once we finally got our hands on him.
Yeah, well, he's saying what he's saying is that they screwed him up.
Yeah,
his Team USA screwed him up, and you weren't here, but we had many debate Andrew Callahan was adamant that they should do this every year, which is asinine. And,
the Four Nations every year?
Thursday was interesting.
Yeah, no, Callahan was great, but it was an asinine argument.
Well, he wants to make it less special and something you don't look forward to and isn't good. So that's why he wants to have it every year.
That was the argument.
Yeah, they're doing a World Cup every other year. Like it was going to be this all the time. And then I said, well, what about when you run out of arenas? And he goes, well, you're not going to run out of arenas. And I'm like, all right. So it's going to be held in
Seattle,
Ottawa, and Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like this stupid
Winter Classic.
I was going to make the Winter Classic argument, which did they do a Winter Classic this year?
See, that speaks to it. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
I asked to prove my point. I said, who played in the Winter Classic this year to John and Callahan, and neither of them could answer because it's not a special thing anymore. It doesn't get good ratings.
Oh, it was played at Wrigley Field between the Blues and the Blackhawks.
Yeah, well, no one will forget that.
If you say so.
Was played, so it already happened.
Yeah,
okay.
It has been played.
Okay.
Carrie, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, real quick, Slow Ride's the best song ever. Next to Black Betty, Nothing Beats Slow Ride. That song kicks ass. I'm telling you right now.
Hell yeah. Tour, I think, is when I saw them. All right, look, the Celtics played last night. Everyone went bananas. They were playing the heated rivals, New York Knickerbockers, and Tom Thibodeau, who's like, if you're hurt, you're playing. You're going to play the whole game if you're hurt. I'm going to run you guys to the ground so that we're like last year, so we're all injured come playoff time. Tom Thibodeau is something else. He leaves it all in the regular season. But there was a brave performance by a Knickerbocker who we probably won't see in the playoffs.
Plus, I know we're going to see him, period.
Yeah, and then the 76ers have got some very unexpected news, a lot of things going on. We will have all that for you. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Celtics won their 5th straight.
tombstone.
On the Sports Hub.
Yeah, I mean, try not to operate by feeling. So at the end of the day, they're a great defense.
There you go.
Who sings Slow Ride?
Foghat. Come on.
What's Foghat's other song?
Fool for the City.
I don't know that. All right, Word Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by...
Just about every home game that I've been to.
Yeah, everyone loves
Quick
it.
break in the action before they drop the puck just to the right of the goalie. Yeah. Thank God.
You want to see Zolak lose his mind?
Oh, this.
Look up at next time you're at Gillette for a Patriots game. Look up into the booth after a big defensive play by the Patriots defense when they get after the quarterback and they play Ballroom Blitz.
Oh,
boy, does he love that song!
And he loves the message of the movie too.
Why are they playing this crap? I hate this. This is the worst. Ah!
You figure that he was one of the kids that would go to the midnight screenings of Rocky Horror and act it out.
That was his friend group for sure.
Ryan's telling me Zolak hates the Rolling Stones. That seems like a random thing for him to hate.
Well, he loves the outfield, and so they're the Rolling Stones of the '80s.
Ah,
the outfield.
I see.
Pretty much.
Yeah, the Rolling Stones are a random thing to hate. Like I've never bought one of their albums, and I never really cared about them. But like certainly don't hate them.
Out of all the music I've owned in my life, I think I might join you there. I don't think I ever bought a Rolling Stones album.
Yeah, it was completely unnecessary. It was more than out there. Like it wasn't necessarily necessary to own.
Yeah,
like a tactile copy of, and it's all just like whatever. I could see being annoyed by them because they were all over the place. And they were legitimately my parents' age. So I could see that being like kind of annoying. But Scott loves the outfield, which there are a group of people that love the outfield. And a lot of them work in radio. Some of them have them play their basements and then get on the kit. And have everyone stand there with amps in a full drum kit down in their basement and have them stand there and watch the outfield play while this guy does rock and roll fantasy camp.
What would that
with them.
set a person back, getting the outfield to come and play your basement party?
A lot of dignity. I mean,
$10.
Like I don't even know if he paid them.
Yeah.
Because they probably did it like in exchange for being on the radio and the relationship he had. But just knowing that everyone there is uncomfortable. The band's obviously probably fairly uncomfortable. You're the only person who's not uncomfortable. You have a very hard time with social norms and social cues. If you putting on drumming gloves and getting behind just the idea of your band as an adult playing your own basement and making people listen to it is an odd choice. When you're 12 years old and your parents come down and you put on like a breakdance show for them, that's one thing when you're having a sleepover.
Yeah.
It's another thing when you're an adult and you invite and he had T-shirts made too.
Oh, you didn't tell it. You never told us that.
Yeah, and it was called Barnes's. Like he had a cool name for his basement, too. Like, and it was like live from the Barnes. I don't know. This guy is really something else. He invented this whole persona. It just is so weird. Like it was just so weird. Radio was very weird. No one was if you came out and were just yourself, you were so revelatory. Like everyone pretended to be someone that they weren't, and it was very interesting. And that's why I think Howard Stern, I mean, he was acting in a lot of ways, but he was performing. But Howard Stern just even admitting any personal flaw was so exciting to people because there were guys like Barnes that just created this whole like myth about how cool they were, and it just seems so counterintuitive to people liking you. Yes,
Fred. The clip is actually on YouTube, and it's called "The Man Pit."
Oh, Barnes's basement.
The Man Pit.
Yeah.
I've never seen the clip. I gotta go look at it.
I'll send it to you.
You look at it while John and I recap what happened with
John get loose
with the Celtics here. Early on, not looking good for the team for the Celtics last night against the Knicks, but then
it's in the hands of Jason Tatum, who has just chewed the Knicks up in the 2 games this year. Bounce pass gives Porzingis a clean look on the right side. It's too easy.
that step away, two guys going with him, just able to knock down the shot quickly.
And that would begin a 116 to 102 run, and the Celtics end up getting the win. 118 to 105.
They were up by
They were down, John.
They were down.
They were down in this game.
They were down 3-3. What was it? 4-3. They were down
3-2.
3-2. Yeah, they were up 27 in the third. The Knicks made a big run, and then the Celtics pushed it back out to 21. Yawn. Boring.
I mean, the whole, everyone makes a run in the NBA.
This was significant. It was. They were down. They were down 77-50. The Knicks were, and all of a sudden it was a 5-point game early in the fourth quarter, and then the Celtics, unlike
which is why when you hear stuff like this,
Well, Karl Anthony Towns just does not have it today. 3 for 11. Tatum, pull up 3 in transition. Good night. 27-point Boston lead. They are blowing the Knicks out again.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not good night. It's 77-50. It should be good night. John, you learned this lesson the hard way.
Very hard way.
When you're
last season.
calling these games, these NBA games.
I was in Atlanta. It was a 30-point lead in the third quarter, and they lost.
Which seems safe, but it's not safe.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You shouldn't do it. So anyway, they ended up getting the win anyway. But yeah, you would think at the 8:20 mark of the third, you should be able to say something like "good night." You can't.
Yeah, Tatum made the 3. Blew a kiss to the crowd on his way back up the floor, and the Knicks got a little angry and came back. But the big takeaways from this game is the Celtics that we were supposed to get earlier this season are playing that way. 9 wins in 10 games. They're not going to catch Cleveland, but they're playing the way they should be playing. 5 in a row, 9 wins out of 10 games. And watch Tatum coming out of the All-Star break. Had a triple-double against Philadelphia. Almost had a triple-double yesterday. He's changed his game a little bit. Less shooting, more facilitating, and he's still getting his points. So he's playing like one of the best players on the planet. It's not just him. He's not forcing his offense. It's a kind of a different level for him, and we'll see if he continues that the rest of the season.
So there you go. The Celtics continue to roll here. 118-105, the win over the Knicks yesterday, and it was, as you said, John, it was a big night for Tatum, who finished with 25 points, 24 from Jaylen Brown. Nice to see them working in tandem. Derek White adding 19.
Tough kind of 3-game stretch coming up. They're in Toronto tomorrow night. Then back-to-back. Wednesday night, they're in Detroit. The Pistons won 6 in a row.
Yeah, and
then they play Cleveland, and Cleveland has won
high-scoring affair yesterday.
Then Cleveland on Friday is here. Cleveland's won 7 in a row. And then they play Denver after that. Denver just had their 9-game winning streak snapped over the weekend. So after this game in Toronto, Toronto's bad. But the next 3, difficult.
Yeah. Cleveland put up 142 points on the Knicks a couple of nights ago.
Yep, they won by
Knicks,
30. Yeah.
I was watching Barnes, and it looks like I think you should leave, Sketch. But
Okay.
the
37.
I don't know if you mentioned this, but the Knicks have not beat Oklahoma City, the Cavaliers, or the Celtics this year.
Yes, they're 0-6, 0-7, something like
against
that.
those top teams, and they'll be hurt in the playoffs.
They're hurt now.
Yeah, because Thibodeau loves playing hurt people.
Josh Hart's got a bad knee. Towns, who hobbled off yesterday, he's working through some apparently patella tendinopathy.
Yeah, and you work it out on the floor.
That doesn't get any better.
No, it doesn't. No, and it's probably a good idea to play him while he's hurt. All right,
but you're right. The Cavaliers have 1 loss in their last 12 games,
and that was to
the Celtics.
Yes.
All right, we are in a code red crisis mode as a show, and we will have that for you coming right up.
Tatum, 25 points. All 5 starters reached double figures. Karl Anthony Towns had 24 to go with 18 rebounds for the Knicks. Celtics have won 5 in a row and 9 out of 10. They're in Toronto tomorrow night. Bruins GM Don Sweeney told the media yesterday that with the trade deadline coming up in less than 2 weeks, he had some bad news.
Generally is unlikely to return for the rest of the season. As everybody knows, he had a significant knee injury, fractured his patella, had surgery.
Hampus Lindholm probably out for the season. Charlie McAvoy also has no timeline to return, but is doing much better following shoulder surgery. The Bruins' next game is tomorrow night at home against Toronto. Alexander Ovechkin continues to close in on history. Had a hat trick yesterday in a 7-3 Washington win over Edmonton. He's 13 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's career record set 26 years ago. And the Red Sox lost to Toronto in Fort Myers 8-7. Alex Bregman played third base in his Sox debut. He was 3 for 3 with a 2-run homer and 3 RBIs. Garrett Crochet struck out 4 in an inning and 2/3. Tanner Houck faces the Yankees at JetBlue Park this afternoon. Sports Hub headlines are powered by Oakers Technologies. This offseason, let's revamp our roster and let's revamp your technology and IT systems with Oakers, a local team with the scale to be your single-source IT partner. Visit okers.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Boston plays here.
Pritchard, half court, it's in the air. He got it! He did it again!
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Is elongating.
Weekday morning.
Here goes Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy.
I no longer love things.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Let's roll the dice.
Sports
Which
Hub.
Stone songs or song singular is the best option for a touchdown song?
I'd probably hope we wouldn't score again. I mean, don't really. I can't change station quick enough with Stone song.
It was an odd. I understand why he played because Lorne Michaels is of that generation. Is has his reverence, and they had the thing where they would pay him $3,000 to get back together and do the Saturday Night Live. But I understand that. But then there was Miley Cyrus, and then there was. I understand Paul Simon too because he was the second host, I believe, and he was so involved with that show, but he played with some lady.
Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah, what did they, Homeward Bound? Yeah, I saw that.
That had to be stopped and then forwarded through. That was very long, too. I think it was like 6 minutes long.
Way too long. The only good performance was Miley Cyrus and Brittany Howard. All the others were not good.
Yeah, but she played someone else's song. I don't even... it was like...
They did Sinead O'Connor, didn't they? Or
Nothing
the Prince
Compares
song?
to You.
Compares to
Yeah, but which is Sinead O'Connor's cover of, she dated Anthony Kiedis.
No.
Sinead O'Connor.
I know
and there's
that.
a song on Blood Sugar Sex Magic about her. I learned that. I watched a video about what a creep Anthony Kiedis is with the underage girls. And
I don't think I need to watch a video to believe that.
Well, in his book, he talks about finding out a girl was 14 that he had taken on the road and that her dad was a sheriff in Louisiana and that he had sex with her again.
Dude, I have a copy of Scar Tissue still sitting at home on my dresser. It's never been cracked open.
It should be called The World's Most Fortunate Man or How I Met Flea, and he just took me by the hand. And you go back and listen to some of those Red Hot Chili Pepper albums, not good. The early albums, they kept them on a label for no reason. Well, anyway, we are in a moment of crisis. I have, last year when the show started, we had a lot of things to think about. We had a whole new show to do and everything. And the station was taking new headshots of all the shows. And I don't know who they brought in to do it or if it was someone internally. But they took photos in another room. And then they put them up. And I thought, oh, okay, this is a bad photo. But there were a bunch of other things going on that took precedence over that. And now that the show has been successful and is doing well, in fact, it's as successful as it's ever been, if not more, right now. I don't know. It would be a matter of a number or two. But it might be the highest it's ever been rated. So now that that's taken care of, which is really the important thing, now we can get into brass tacks. So YouTube's fine. I know everyone craps on the show. I don't care. As long as you're engaging and listening, you can do whatever you want. But... so I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with the way it's shot. Everything is fantastic. Monetizing it, plugging it. I don't have any problems with any of that YouTube stuff. It's all fantastic, and it's well done, and Nick does a great job. Everyone's the best. Now, but however, there is a photo of the show. Now, I'm not asking for like Annie Leibovitz or whatever the hell. I'm asking for some, incredible photographer to come in and conceptualize something and shoot it. But I talked to someone, so like I'll talk to someone and then they'll go like look me up, and so first of all, the picture's atrocious. So I already knew that. So we had already talked off air about if I handled everything, if we could just retake the photo with anything, with a phone, I don't care. Any photo is better than that photo. And you guys agreed, and I said, I won't make it a big deal. We'll just do it. And if, it can't be hard. Like, it can't be that difficult. And then Adam was like, well, let's just take the photo and then give it to them, and then they can put it up, and then it will be easy.
Right.
And so we just said that. So, I had someone I was talking to, and they said, hey, how tall are your co-hosts? Are they really tall? And I went, no. Why? And they said, oh, they're quite a bit taller than you. Like, so I was wondering, like, how, and I go, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh, well, the photo for the show, like, that's on the website and on YouTube. And I went, I'm in his stool. And they went, oh, it looks like they're way taller than you. Now, I'm taller than both of you.
Yes.
So what's going, like, now it's affecting my life negatively because it was a garbage picture of so Felger and Maz, Tony's, like, it looks like Tony's me in the photo of us because Felger's tall and Jim's real tall. So, like, they think that I'm shoulder height to you.
Wallach looks like Porzingis height.
I mean, it's awful. It's awful. It's nothing about that. Like, the tone of the photo is terrible. Like, everything about it is terrible. The pose is terrible. Everything's terrible. And now it's like code red. Because now at least I'm tall. At least I'm tall, because you guys aren't short, but I'm taller than you guys. At least I'm tall.
How tall are you? How tall?
6'2".
Okay.
So I'm 6'2", legitimately 6'2". It's the only thing I got going for me. I got a big ugly face.
Yep.
I'm stupid.
Yes.
I'm hairy. All these things, but at least I'm tall. And now this is a code red situation. I can't have this on the internet anymore. And I wonder, because that was said to me, I wonder how many people have like TV people, anybody going, oh, I've heard, this show this guy said something controversial. Let's go check it out. And then they saw it and they were like, oh, it's like this little ugly guy.
Little troll.
Like this little troll that's sitting there. Instead of saying a big troll, they're saying a little troll. So that, to me, the consequence of that is far greater than upsetting anyone here at the station. Like, we have gotten to the point where, like, ego's got to be cast aside by some people. And, I don't care if you come in here and we stand up for 10 seconds and you take a photo. It's just anything but that. Anything but me sitting in that stool.
Where were these photos taken? Were
in
they
the other
taken
room.
Here or the other room? Okay,
Yeah,
so
that
we
concert
can
thing
just
in
do
there.
that again. We have a photo and video team. We just need to get that on the books for this week.
He's not listening to you.
Is there a day? Is there a I'm
maybe the
listening.
photo
I
and
heard what
video
he
team doesn't get so involved in this one.
I'm thinking this is an all-encompassing internal thing.
Like, you take the photo.
Well,
I would
that's what we
prefer
had talked
that.
about last week. Is Ryan had volunteered because he has a nice camera, digital camera. You can bring it in. We'll do that.
I don't care if you put a phone in between your ass cheeks and take it. It couldn't be any worse.
I think
It's a disaster. Do you understand how?
I understand.
I had to
I do.
explain to someone that I'm 6'2",
Which is
Did
wild
you not get
that
sex?
someone would think that.
Did you? Were you supposed to engage in coitus?
I didn't say if it was a female or anything. It wasn't any. I didn't say that. It was just. It could have been a professional call. It could have been a call about doing something else. I'm not saying it was.
Did you get turned down for a male modeling gig because they thought you were too short?
No, I'm not African American. Hello.
Oh, okay.
The rapper, he was at the All-Star game.
Yes.
But it's like a code red situation, and I know I've always let this kind of stuff go, and I always was like, who cares? But I'm at a point in my life where I just got to be like, all right, I understand I'm not attractive and I'm never going to be attractive, but I got to at least have a representative picture of me on the internet.
I'm a firm believer if you're going to do something, you do it right. So I think we do need to get a photographer, and I think we need to brainstorm some locations to go shoot. Maybe you stand in front of a ballpark. Maybe we stand in front of Fenway. Maybe you're holding a sports ball of some kind.
No. Sure, like we did when we started. One of us had a bat, one of us had a football.
Now you're thinking, John, okay, maybe you and I should brainstorm this separately, and then we'll just bring the best of the ideas.
I welcome that opportunity. I think Fred would be very receptive to all of it.
You know what? If you guys want to do that, as long as I'm standing up, I don't care. You can do whatever you want, as long as I don't have that shirt on and I'm standing up. And I picked that shirt out.
Now, Fred, our best idea is at TD Garden. Since we talk a lot of hockey on this show, the problem is you're sitting on the bench, and then Wallach and I are like actually, on the glass, kind of in front of you. That makes perspective makes you look even shorter.
Why don't you just rest your balls on my shoulders, and I can sit on the floor, crisscross applesauce or whatever the hell you're supposed to say now instead of the other thing. Yeah. I sit on the floor like that in a meditation pose because Lord knows if I use the terms that we used when I was growing
you can't
up,
say
you can't say that
anymore.
It's very offensive to Indian people. But if I,
said it anyway.
I mean, I really went over the line. But if I say I'm sitting on the ground, you just put your balls on my shoulders and really emasculate me. Just make me like maybe one of you could just be urinating on me while I sit there. But I don't think every photo had me even sitting down when they took them. That was the one that was picked. I wonder if it was almost like on purpose.
You think whoever was in charge of this was out to get you specifically?
No, but maybe the people, they don't like me either because of the stuff I said on the air. I offended them in some way, and that this was like a way to kind of, maybe if it was subliminal, like just a way to take
He's saying there are other photos that were taken in that session that he's looking at right now, and there are photos where you were standing up.
Oh, that's a better one right there.
I think at least for the quick fix during the break, you come in here, you take a
just
look
use
at what's
that
on
one.
here.
I don't care, Nick. Put it if you can do it. Put that up now.
Okay.
Post haste,
He's
and
working on it.
then we do that. Thank you. That's what a team. That didn't take long. What a team. Because I don't care as long as we're standing up. I fixed my teeth since then. But I just want to be standing. I have enough going on with my physical maladies, my physical imperfections, that I don't need to be looked upon as a little person. That's the last thing I need. At least give me my height. It's the one thing that I've been bestowed upon. I look like a potato with sticks. I have no chin. I asked my daughter, we were having dinner last night, I said, if I was to have plastic surgery, I'm like, what do you think I should have? Chin! Before I could even finish it, she's like, chin.
Man.
And she's like, but don't do it. And I'm like, well, now I have to do it because you said it so quickly. We came up in a conversation.
Sure.
But
you want to have the chin implant? You want to come on a little bit
I want
more?
a Jay Leno-esque lantern chin. No, I guess, so I got asked to be specific, and I guess they tighten the skin here. But look, I don't expect to look like even. I don't even expect to look presentable, but at least have me on my feet.
Okay.
I mean, someone might go did something happen? Are you in a wheelchair or something like? I mean, that was because I know that when people look for this is what people think the show is. So when they look it up, and first of all, it looks like we look like total dorks. I don't even think it's representative of the way the show sounds.
Maybe that you just gave me another idea for a location. Maybe it's a photo of Wallach and I wheeling you out of the booby hatch, and you still got the Johnny on, and you've got some white orderlies in the background, maybe somebody with a big butterfly net. Oh no, we're busting you out of the puzzle factory, and there's a guy running after us.
You still have the straitjacket on, and your arms are twisted.
At least
behind you.
At least
but he's in a wheelchair.
At least that's something that happened and is conceptual, and at least it's like, ooh, we're crazy wild. I mean, it's corny, but it's better than the photo that's up there. Keith, go ahead.
Yeah, really sorry about hear all this commentary. In particular, it does seem as though all the ideas that you formulated of Coach Belichick and Jordan, the philosophical twin flame, are backfiring thematically and concept-wise when it comes to photo ops. Love you guys.
Yes, thank you, because then it would look like we were stealing. I understand conceptual-wise if you dress me as little Abner and gave me a big lollipop.
Could John and I play twin fishermen and maybe be landing you on the beach?
Yeah.
At least my legs would be sprawled over, and you could get at least an idea that I wasn't a little person. Someone legitimately asked me how tall you two were.
I still can't get over the fact that someone actually thought that.
I like the hospital concept Hardy came up with because it would look like the cover of We Can't Be Stopped by Ghetto Boys. When Bushwick Bill's on the
get his eyes shot out.
his eyes shot out.
Yeah.
He's got the Johnny on.
Or it could be like Diary of a Madman. Whatever.
Which is the one where he's like half. No, but what?
Bark at the Moon.
Yeah, that's where he's like half Beast Man. There you go.
So there you go. That needs to be done post haste. You can only imagine my reaction because I was like, I know people look at that and they're like, oh, what an ugly guy, and I know it's not a great picture. So I was like, let's retake the picture, but I wasn't in a rush. Now it's like code red. It needs to be done, and I think that even if you took the photo, that when you hear this story, that you would have to put yourself in my shoes and go, you know what, that photo needs to be changed. That is too much. I don't think this is even being at all vain. I just want people not to think that I'm 6 inches shorter than you guys. I don't think that's a ridiculous notion. That's not crazy.
See, I think the majority of people would look at that photo and not believe that, understand that you were sitting
I don't
down.
care if one person thought that. It's such a bad photo that you just throw that on top of the wood pile. That's enough. That's the breaking point. That's where it breaks, and I get off my ass and stop being lazy about it. I see there's code and everything on Nick's computer. He's getting that up quick. Thank you, Nicholas, because this is a code red disaster. Do you think, in all honesty, it's vain of me to want to change that photo?
No. I want to change the photo.
Thank you. Because I really did sit with it for a year, and we had other things to worry about. We had a news show. The news show's a great success. Now it's time to focus on getting this thing off the internet. Let's try to scrub the internet of this photo. Please. Please. Thank you. That's all.
Send that photo right into the man pit. Get rid of it.
Yeah, at least let me have my drumming gloves on and some short shorts.
Get T-shirts,
and get my guitar player a Flying V post-haste. All right, look.
I just want to emasculate you in any way possible. More album cover photo shoot ideas. How about Spinal Tap, Smell the Glove? And we have you down on all fours. And Wallach, maybe I've got a big leather glove on that Wallach is perched on. We make him really tiny, but you're smelling the glove, the falconer's glove.
Why don't we do
that
a
Wallach
bit
is perched on?
Where I get naked and you throw lunch meat in my ass, and then that's the photo. Maybe it's just a photo of you guys teabagging me and kicking me in the nuts. Why don't we just make it the most embarrassing? All of this would be better, and I swear to God it would be. I'd rather a photo of me passed out and being teabagged than what's up there right now.
We're standing outside the gates of a summer football camp. Wallach's got a pine cone in one hand, and I'm holding a broomstick.
Oh, that's not something to be made fun of. How dare you? How dare you? Well, look, anything's better than what it is. Yeah, like you're just holding my head in a fountain like Pony Boy. You're dressed like Soches and I'm a greaser, and you got my head under the water of the fountain.
Yeah, with the 65 Mustang in the background with the searchlight off the driver's side window.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell
yeah. Any like movie where someone's really humiliated and taken down a peg. Maybe you guys have long hair and beards, and you're holding a crudely drawn picture of my face on a volleyball. That would be better than what's up there right now. All right. Well, good. I'm glad Nick is on it because we're in a code red situation. All right. When we come back, the Bruins, are in a code red situation. We will explain that and everything that came out of Sweeney's press conference in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy.
patella injury that he fractured his knee?
Yes, we knew he fractured. It was reported that this was possible, never confirmed by the team. That yesterday, as I understand it, was confirmation of that injury.
All right. Well, look,
but it was easy to see. He got hit by a puck right in the knee.
Right. I mean, things like that are going to happen. Look, we're Toucher and Hardy, 617-779-0985. The Hampus Lindholm's out for the year. McAvoy's hurt. The Bruins aren't going to make the playoffs. The bill has come due, and it's fine. Look, they pushed things they should have. Did they make the best moves ever all the time? No. But, I mean, they won the Cup a year where they made a terrible move.
All those moves they made when they won the President's Trophy and set all those records, that was pushing all your chips into the middle of the table. That first round loss just killed this franchise into the future. I mean, remember all the first round picks Sweeney made, all those additions, all those draft picks, all those whatever prospects he sent out. That was all for that one season. And then they lost in the first round, and here we are 2 years later.
Yeah, and so, and they haven't hit on the picks that they do have. They've, for a long time, had the worst, if not one of the worst, farm systems in all of hockey, to my understanding.
They went 5 years before they had someone they drafted come up at one point.
Yeah, so, and then, even Pasternak was kind of like a little lucky.
Yeah, low first round. Yeah.
Because I remember people, when they said he was going to make the team, and I will give Haggerty credit for this. Haggerty saw him play. And said on the air on this show, he said that, I think Pasternak could contribute this year. And people were like, that's insane. That's
25th overall.
Yeah. So that was a great pick. But other than that, like Lysell and all these guys, like they're not – all those guys that they traded when they traded Kessel. When did they get the 3 picks? Oh, when they traded Sagan.
Yes.
When they traded Sagan and they got those 3 picks back, I mean, they kind of whiffed on all of those.
DeBrusque was the best one of the 3.
Yeah. And
Zaboral and I don't know who the third guy was.
And remember I remember I was in Detroit at my friend's house when they took all 3 of those picks, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is insane. And so they ended up taking all those, and they whiffed on all those. So, the bill was due. So now what's you move Frederick, you move any expiring contract you can, but that gets us to Marchand. Marchand had talked about this earlier this year, and he said, like, I just don't think it's going to happen. But then when I heard all this news, and look, the Bruins aren't going to win a cup. So you got to make moves. You got to start restocking anything you can. And the good news is that there's a bunch of teams in playoff contention. So if you were a seller, you would be one of the few sellers. So in Marchand would be a piece that really no one else, from what I've read, can offer. Guy with that kind of experience, you're only bringing him in for 3 months. And then I started thinking Marchand's side of it, like, Boston's a great hockey market. You're super famous here. Your family's here. You love it here. Your friends are here. You're tight with Bergeron. You're tight with the organization. You wanted to play with one team your whole career. That's great. But you win that tournament with Team Canada, and you played with all those great players. How bad would it be if they traded you to a contender for 3 months? You went out and played in competitive hockey games with the idea of winning a Stanley Cup. And, then maybe at the end of the year, you just re-sign with the Bruins again. But you had that run. Like, you don't have to move your family. During the playoffs, I don't imagine you're that available anyway. So, for 3 months, you go away, and the family stays here. You go play competitive hockey. You get a chance at your second Stanley Cup. And then if you want to, you come back to Boston. Why not? That seems to me to work for everyone. Now, I don't know, because at 36 in the miles and where he is now in his career, like, I don't think that trading him would be, that it would need to be agreed that he signs a deal with the team that he's being traded to.
I think you're in a
I wouldn't think so.
I wouldn't think so at all.
I don't think so either.
You'd almost rather have him be a rental.
You're in a situation now where if you were the Bruins, and by the way, Sweeney said the opposite of this, but I think if you're the Bruins, you want to do right by him. He's given a lot for this franchise. He's taken a lot of bullets for this franchise. He is the leader right now of this franchise. You're not going to win a cup while he's playing here. He has only a couple of years left in him at most. you're not going to win a cup in these next 2-3 years. If you really want to give him an opportunity to win, you have to trade him. Now, Sweeney said the opposite at his press conference yesterday. He said, we've had a lot of contract extension talks with Brad, et cetera, et cetera. Everything Sweeney said yesterday was, we're not trading him. We're going to take this right to the wire here. We're gonna try and re-sign him. But if you really want to do right by this player and give this player a chance to win, you have to trade him.
That's what and I'm on the same page as you. Like, it's not like, if I'm Martian, I don't see the downside of getting traded. It only that you didn't play for the team technically your entire career. And wouldn't you rather get a second Stanley Cup than that? Like, what a year for Brad Marchand. You win that tournament. You got to play your first, I think that was his first as a professional playing in a national hockey tournament or an international hockey tournament representing Canada. And so I believe that's the case. He certainly hasn't been on an Olympic team. I know that. So you win that, and then you win a Stanley Cup. Now you're a Hall of Famer, for sure. No doubt about it. And again, even if you got sent out west, I mean, what's the big deal?
You trade him to Winnipeg. You trade him to Vegas. If you can't get someone interested, you trade. Washington has, I think, the best record in the league. You trade him to Washington for 3 months.
Yeah, and I mean,
if he wants to stay close to his family, you trade him to Washington.
Well, if I'm him, I really wouldn't care. I can't see a downside of it. I really can't. You're a professional athlete who's moving around and traveling all the time anyway.
Kevin Weeks had I think I sent this to you guys. Kevin Weeks had a list of players, a list of teams that Marchand could go to, and his number one destination was Toronto. He thought that Brad should be sent to Toronto, which I can't ever see happening. But Toronto is in first place in the division right now. Actually, you're going to see Toronto tomorrow night. But there are a lot of teams, I'm sure, that would love to have a guy like that for 3 months.
Oh, can you imagine if the Bruins had an opportunity to get an agitator that could score and could play shorthanded and could play power play? Like, if you had an opportunity
He's
to
one
get
of
a guy
the
like
better
this.
shorthanded players in NHL history.
Yeah. Well, the way it's been described is this is like the Recchi trade when the Bruins got Mark Recchi and then they went on to win the Cup because it's like that kind of move. A great player at the end of his career, but brings leadership and grit and all those things. It's a piece that could – he's a piece that legitimately could be the difference between winning a cup and not winning a cup.
Yeah, there's 100 reasons why you would want to add Marchand and the notion that he's hated around the league. He is the best example of a player that you hate unless he's playing for your team, and he could add to it and he could bring a lot. Whether it's in the Recchi aspect or he's still got a lot of goal scoring left in him. But the piece of it that you started with, Fred, and I think there's the most compelling part of it is, would Marchand want to do it? And it's just been believed as the reports are, they're continuing to work on an extension right now. But would he be on board for it? Yeah, all things being equal, if the team were going somewhere and you could play for one team your entire career and never leave, great. But the team's not going anywhere this season. And if you would be able to help this team a little bit and they were able to move you for a few months, the idea of coming back and re-signing here at the end would be awesome. I don't even know if it's necessary for Marchand at this point. His place in this town is solidified to where he would only come back and sign here, I think, if he wanted to. It wouldn't be necessary for his legacy here.
No.
And none of us want him to leave. Nobody wants Marchand off the team. But getting that taste of winning again like they did with Team Canada and getting able to play with some other guys and, have that feeling, I don't know when you're going to have that again as a member of the Bruins. And if that left him wanting a little bit more, he could have it if he wanted to.
Yeah, the thing is that them having contract negotiations with him, that's fine. That's still valid. I mean, work with the agent and get a contract lined up for next year. That doesn't preclude you from trading him. I mean, you could trade him with the idea that, all right, we have the terms in place for when you come back.
In the end, this is just good business for the Bruins. You're not going anywhere. You're looking at bottoming out here if they're not careful. He is your most tradable asset. He will bring you the most in return. And if you are to look towards the future, and I don't know how anyone can look at this roster and say it's for the present, you have to look for the future of this franchise. What asset brings you the most back in return looking at this roster? It's Brad Marchand.
Right. That's not a piece that you can't afford to move.
He's not going to be here when you win again. He's not.
Well, no, the cap's going up, and if you move him and you start getting pieces, I mean, you thought this team could be competitive this year. They only really are stuck with one terrible contract, Elias Lindholm. So you get everyone healthy, you bring Marchand back, you make some additions, you could compete. You could make the playoffs next year.
I'm not talking about making the playoffs, finishing third. I'm talking about being one of 5, 6, 7 teams that you go into a season with that if things break right, you can go to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Well, listen, it's all conversation. All that matters is this season. And this season, for everyone, I think it's the best that if you watch them this weekend, they didn't even try. It's the season's over. They got to, they're going to have to get rid of this coach. They're going to have to do everything over again. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. And Sweeney has just got to, ownership's got to get involved and just say, look, if you have to put the governor on the guy, because he even said, my competitive nature is never to throw in the towel. If your ownership, this is one, and I know they're not going to do it, but this is one space where you'd go, look, because, he might be thinking I'm getting fired. What do I care? I'm going to try to win this year to keep my job. If you just went in and you just said, look, you have to. I want you to do everything you can to think of the future. I want you thinking of the future. I don't want you concentrated on this season anymore. This season's over. I'm willing to take the bullet. Let's eat it. We had a great run. This 1 year we're not going to make the playoffs. Let's try to get our house in order and try to get things moving in the right direction again. I appreciate that you have this nucleus of players that we can build around. Look, I'm not asking you to trade Carlo. I'm not asking you to do anything like that, even though it wouldn't be ludicrous to move Carlo. And start really regenerating things. But maybe as an ownership, you don't feel comfortable doing that. But you at least could say, look, everyone who's on an expiring contract, I want them out of here. And then you can bring them back if you want to, but I want them out of here. I want you to get as much for the future as possible.
I just don't see any problem with trading Marchand. I love him too. He's been a Bruin his entire career. Just put that to the side for a second. It's good business to do this and make David Pastrnak the captain for a year if you have to.
It doesn't matter. It's 3 months. All right, look, we're just repeating ourselves now, but there you go. So the case has been made. No McAvoy, no Lindholm, no chance. And, you got a taste of winning. Why not go for a cup? And if you want to, you can come back. Look, Hardy's was out of town. We missed him greatly. He was out there adventuring around the globe. He was at a place that's not even really a state. It's in some kind of flux. So he went that far away. And he has created a game for us. We will start all these proceedings in just a moment.
Essential. Music in the morning.
Never had to knock on wood, but I never had it yet.
No, you said you didn't want to hear more music in the morning. Okay. Here's more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Where? You were on vacation where?
We went to Puerto Rico. Never been there. Had friends who went there recently. Enjoyed it. Recommended it. So we ended up booking there. I don't know. Maybe back around Christmas time. And which apparently if you want to go anywhere over this winter break, you have to book like for the next winter break, I would recommend booking now.
Or just
this summer at
here.
the latest.
Or doing what Adam does and go up where it's even colder.
Yes.
A delightful weekend up in Maine and New Hampshire.
What kind of scat did you look at this?
Yeah, the New England Scat Report.
I'll tell you, I did not spot any scat, but I did find a deer yard in our backyard. Which
I hope you got Lyme disease.
Which is what? No, don't. That's a terrible thing to wish upon a person.
Yeah, I know.
But I did see where the deer was sleeping. We did see some deer movement at dusk, and I spotted a barred owl at dusk on, I think it was Thursday night. I saw this kind of movement out the window, and we all went to the window and we took out the binoculars. And
Michelle
sure
in
enough,
South Carolina used to call about the barred owl in my yard.
Yeah.
Wow. It sounds like you had quite an adventure.
Jeez.
Yes, I did.
He wins, Hardy.
Wasn't as
Why even
tropical
bother?
as Hardy's, but
God.
some runs in at Black Mountain. Wonderful time.
Did you and your father cut wood?
He did. We did. He didn't need any help with that. I heard him knocking around down there, getting some firewood ready for the
Didn't want
wood
any help.
stove.
Listen. Why take it away
around.
from him?
Yeah.
That's how I want to retire. It's out there chopping wood in the 10 feet of snow.
Keeps you young.
Yeah, or it makes you want to die. I don't know. Either one.
All right. So here's one thing I will say, and this has happened now in 3 different places I've been to, because we don't always take like a warm weather vacation, but this is the maybe third in the last, I don't know, 7 years that we've done. This is apparently the thing now. If you're at any kind of hotel with a pool, beach, anything going on, you need to reserve your chairs first thing in the morning. Mm-hmm. And apparently there's no getting around it. When we went to Aruba a long time ago, it was Bertrand goes to Aruba Loud. He's like, dude, do you need some chair clips? Like, what? He goes, no, you got to have these special clips that you take your towel out first thing in the morning and you put your towel on the chairs you want around the pool, but you got to clip them because it's so windy there. And that way, you know, it's yours. Like, no, I'll be fine. You're not fine. If you don't go down and reserve your chair, you will have no chair. And one of my greatest forms of entertainment was walking around early in the morning because I was the first one up, and I'd leave the room and go walk around and watching people get all kinds of pissed off when they go down to the pool at 8:30 in the morning and they can't get a chair. It's like, oh, you got to be down here earlier than that, pal. The mom's walking around. Their kids are already up. They're ready to get in the pool before 9 a.m. and they can't even get the chair. So there's no way around it. You have to either pay somebody to do it for you, I guess, the night before, and who knows if that's going to happen, or just get up real early, get down there and get your chairs. And
see, I always liked it because I didn't need the chair because I still do it, is I don't need the chair because I knew I was going to be in the pool with the kids, or the ocean with the kids, and it was my ex-wife that needed the chair. So I was very blasé, and I could have taken it or leaving it because I knew that I was not going to need it for sitting.
But you don't get out of the pool and go read for a while?
No. With my kids, absolutely not. I swear I'm not exaggerating this. 3 hours in the pool, then out, eat, and then back into the pool or thing. Like 6-7 hours in the pool, inventing games. My son was a very, very active child.
Well,
my daughter was along for the ride, but my son, he wanted to work.
I'm just a couple years in front of you, Fred. Rest assured that does not end.
Well,
or at least has not ended for my 18-year-old and 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Daddy is still the one. Let's get in the pool. I brought the ball. I brought the. It's a pool disc John. I'm not taking
pool disc.
I don't take the 175-gram Ultimate Sport
kill
disc into the
someone.
pool.
You
No,
chop
kill
off someone's
somebody.
head.
That one's for the beach, and we put on a show on that beach several days.
Okay.
We really did.
All right.
But there's a separate one for the pool, and you and just like you said, Fred, you invent games, and you have different games that you play with the water ball and with the
Yeah.
pool disc and all that stuff for hours. With
we
with a 14-year-old, but with my daughter too.
Yeah, we were in Atlantis, my son and I, because now I take them each on individual spring break trips. And with my son, we were in Atlantis, and I had this watch on that, like with a pedometer on it, and I might have gone up flights of stairs to climb up to those water. I mean, so say 3 hours a day of doing those water slides.
20,000 steps and 50 flights of stairs.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
it was like this ludicrous amount because Atlantis is you're not leaving it, and it's huge.
And it's huge.
And about halfway through the vacation, we realized, why are we taking this shuttle bus? We can just walk.
Yeah.
And so, but it's
We had the exact same conversation where I was.
so
over
say it's
Christmas.
3/4 of a
Yeah.
mile long. I mean, you're just walking back
That's
and
right.
forth 3/4 of a mile and getting lost and stuff. So yeah, I mean, but I always did enjoy that because I would sometimes resent that my wife was, just able to sit, and then so there was almost like a little bit of like, aha, you can't get a chair.
Yeah.
Now I don't care. You're on your own. I'm over here. I'm doing stuff. Yeah, I just needed to go to the towel rental.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
But Puerto Rico was great. The one thing I would not recommend that my wife and daughter enjoyed, I did not, was the nighttime luminescent algae kayaking tour.
Oh.
Because my son was in the bow of the kayak while I was astern, so to speak. And that kid can't paddle worth a crap. And he was a nightmare. And you're going through this lagoon with these trees that are overhanging. You can't see anything because they turn all the lights out, even on on the boats, because you want to see the luminescent algae. But then you go out into the open water and you're floating around in this bay, and we're bumping into everything and everyone, and I can't see. And I'm getting like real anxiety over it because you're hearing stuff like jumping in the water when you're going by these overhanging trees and stuff, and I'm losing my mind. I'm like, just pick your paddle up, no more paddling for you. I'll do all the paddling and all the steering. You got to stop that. But there was one aspect of that kayak trip that led to the overall most enjoyable experience I've had on vacation in a long time, Fred.
Transcendent experience.
Transcendent experience that had to do with how we got to the kayak place and what that meant for the rest of the week.
All right.
Huh. I'm curious.
All right. So this is you've fashioned a game.
I
around
have
this?
fashioned a game, and I will tell you what.
next. It really wasn't that close. The Green pushed the lead as high as 27 in the third quarter, and then the Knicks scored the final 8 of the afternoon to make the final score look a lot better than it was. The Green have won 5 in a row. They visit Toronto tomorrow night. As for the Bruins, they're off until tomorrow night when they play Toronto at TD Garden. GM Don Sweeney said yesterday it's unlikely Hampus and Lindholm will return this season, and there's no timetable for the return of Charlie McAvoy either. The good news is McAvoy's apparently improving, but as a result of all of this, Sweeney told the media this year's deadline will be different for him.
Well, I think historically we've been pretty aggressive. When our team's been in a position, I think we'll take a much more cautious approach as we approach the deadline. That being said, if there are opportunities to improve our team now and certainly moving forward, whether that's positional shifts with other teams are trying to identify that we may have a strength at, we will look at all opportunities to improve our team now, but more importantly, moving forward.
The NHL trade deadline is a week from Friday, and the Red Sox lost to Toronto in Fort Myers yesterday, 8-7. Alex Bregman played third base. He was 3 for 3 with a 2-run homer and 3 RBIs. Garrett Crochet struck out 4 in an inning and 2/3. He threw 26 pitches in his Red Sox debut. Tanner Houck faces the Yankees at JetBlue Park at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
Boston's best sports talk. There's an app for that. Download the Sports Hub app for loads of stuff. Absolutely free. Connect with the shows, get podcasts, and more. Get it where you get your apps. Or at 985sportshub.com. Half toucher.
Dressed like a gorilla.
Half Hardy.
A big, beautiful ball of flame.
And a whole lot of Boston sports.
And I have had many offers. Now I just look terrible, but I don't look small. Good. Thank you, Nicholas. I have not figured out how to shave my beard at that point. Now I know you need hair on the chin, but not on the neck. Thank you, Nicholas. It looks photoshopped, but nonetheless.
Oh, it does look good. No, nice job, Nick.
It is good.
Yeah.
Very,
Nice.
much better than the last photo, which almost seems like a cruel prank on me. All right, Hardy. So you went to Puerto Rico, and obviously you're not just going to sit there and let people wait on you. I mean, you're going to get to know them.
No, we're going to engage a little bit. And let's see, the second night we were there, Marcy had pre-booked a luminescent algae kayaking tour about an hour from the hotel, which even the people at the hotel said, oh, there's one, just down the beach here. You didn't go for that one? And I bit my lip. Like, yeah, why didn't we just go for the one that's right down the beach? Why do we have to ride for an hour
your wife
in a car somewhere?
What, that's moronic.
But then I looked it up, and it turns out she booked the best one because the luminescent algae ain't all that luminescent. The one that was closer to the hotel, you got to go out a ways. You got to go out a ways, and you got to get away from some of the bigger city lights, and you got to go where the algae is really luminescing. You understand?
I got it.
So, how do we get out there? Well, you could take a cab or an Uber. How much is a cab? Let me check the Uber. And I'm like, oh, the Uber is cheaper than that. Let's pull up an Uber here. And about 5 minutes after I requested an Uber, a blue Honda Pilot, brand new, showed up. And you know who was
driving in San Juan, or like the pain thing any different than it is here in the the official 50 states?
I took a vacation from all that, Fred.
Oh.
I'm a different guy when I'm on.
Did you talk to the
vacation
people
time.
cutting the lawns and all that stuff?
No, Fred. There's no grass being cut at this time of year. You silly goose.
Okay.
Grass is largely dormant.
There was no, even in Puerto Rico?
I don't know.
So, okay, so, all right. What's the next thing that Daniel did for you? He texted you, he drove you around.
What type of music did Daniel listen to more than any other artist in his car? Now, this is something that you can deduce, John, as we were in Puerto Rico, and he is a 25 to 30-year-old person. I believe it might be a law in Puerto Rico that you have to celebrate this artist and listen
New
to
York
him.
Dolls. But, of course, it is nothing but, if not, Bad Bunny.
That is correct. A lot of Bad Bunny in the car when Daniel was driving.
Now, does your daughter like Bad Bunny?
Yes.
My daughter asked me if I found Bad Bunny good looking, because we were watching the SNL and he was in the crowd, and I said, "There's too much going on for me to make that."
Yeah.
To make that, I can't deduce that because he's got so many accessories. He's got glasses and earrings and necklaces. There's a lot distracting me. In fact, maybe I'm thinking about doing that myself. Start putting more jewels on me to get the attention off my face.
Peacocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
All right, finally, Daniel arrived to pick us up. We had predetermined when we would be leaving for the airport on Friday. Our flight was delayed a couple hours, so the time was pushed back to 2:30. What time did Daniel arrive to take us to the airport? 2:30 was the agreed upon time. What time did he actually show up?
1.
No, John, he's incorrect. No, 2:20. It was a reasonably early amount of time that he showed up. But more importantly, Fred, what did Daniel bring as he drove us back to the airport and our final trip together in Puerto Rico? What did Daniel bring with him?
Oh, okay. So you're going to the airport, something to remember him by, a bottle of rum.
No, it's just close enough. Souvenirs, including a little Puerto Rican flag pin and a mini Puerto Rican.
What is that?
Well, it's an instrument.
It's a very tiny dildo.
What is
I don't know what it looks like, but it's the thing that makes the.
Now, what did you give Daniel?
As my son pointed out, as I kept remarking what great friends Daniel and I were becoming, he said, you're giving him money every time you see him.
Yeah, but you're the kind of guy that loves prostitutes. Like you can get that financial thing out of your head.
He also brought a little Puerto Rican passport, so to speak, filled with things to remember your trip by and reasons to come back, and little stickers of the coqui for the kids, which they really enjoyed.
All right.
I'm sure he spent a lot of time, shopping around for all of this and didn't have packages that he has prepackaged for everybody.
What?
Why don't you play your instrument along with that, Hardy?
How
I think
much?
It's called a Guerrero or something?
How much money do you think you gave?
Guiro.
How much money do you think you gave Daniel in cash on that trip? Because you obviously started paying him more than he was asking for.
Including the.
At the end of it, how much money did you hand him at the airport?
$100.
Okay, and how much had he asked for?
And nothing. I mean, so
it was just
the trip from the hotel to the airport is like 15 minutes. Had he charged me, he probably would have said, $15.
And you gave him 100.
I gave him 100 for all that he had done for us for the week. That was the final payment.
Did you hug?
Yeah,
you did hug.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And after the,
did he watch you go in the airport? Did he stay out of the car and watch you walk in?
So that if you turned around one more time, he could wave?
Yeah, exactly.
Right before he goes through the door, he had to turn around and look one last time.
Did he seem emotional?
The one
Hanging around
time
the middle of nowhere.
I'm
waiting
just
to
going
take
if
you
he
home.
has 2 hours to sit and wait for you at that kayaking
he
place.
had other rides, I'm sure he took in
But
the
you said
area
you were in
around
the middle
the luminescent kayaking. Well, there's still people who live there who have to go to other places out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it seems like things aren't so great in Puerto Rico. If he was just willing to hang around to pull in a fish, that was $500 for the week.
Things are great in Puerto Rico, and Daniel he made our trip that much more enjoyable.
Text him now and see what happens. Text him now and just go, "Hey, buddy, what's up? Thinking about you."
He's up. Same area code, right? Same time zone, right?
Yeah, let's play this game. Text him and just say, "Hey, buddy, what's up? What are you up to?"
How about this? When we go to break, I'll text him, and we'll see if he texts back by the end of the break.
Within 90 seconds.
No, the break's longer. The break's 4.5
he's going to
minutes.
text him back within 90 seconds.
No, we don't know that.
I don't think he texts him back at all.
When we go into break, I will text him.
Okay.
And
so I say quickly, you say not at all.
Nope.
All right. Hardy, just for the record, look at me. I'm on your side here.
Did you tell him you
still
were
have a
coming back
friendship.
next year?
No.
Coming back for April vacation. You kidding me?
I said we come back. To be back in 6 weeks.
It'd be great. It's like, yeah, Hardy, I thought you weren't taking
I'm
it.
coming
No,
back.
we're going back down to Puerto
I'm coming
Rico.
back solo. I'm thinking maybe we bunk up.
There you go.
All right. Well, this is interesting. Let's see if he gets back to you.
Okay.
All right.
Good
Hardy will
study.
text him, and when you come back, there's a lot of controversy going around Major League Baseball. We will talk about that in just a moment and find out if Daniel does get back to Hardy.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the
Daniel, you'll listen to me, Daniel. Daniel, I'm here.
I thought we had something special.
Daniel?
Every morning you should just go like, what was the name of that frog again? Or what was the name of that restaurant that we went to? Just go, and then just in all caps, Daniel! Oh, that couldn't have been easy to send. I got douche chills right for you. Right? It was so uncomfortable hearing you dictate that into
that's
the
the worst
phone.
part. He actually said that.
No,
Question
no.
mark?
The worst part is sending it. But I did hear him doing it. It was very uncomfortable.
Okay.
I felt a little uncomfortable. I got to be honest with you. All right, Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
As they get into this, you played the thing with Felger talking about the strike, being able to appeal strikes, ball and strike calls, which I agree is ridiculous. Again, there's too many games for this. There's just too much. A game is not live or die. It's fine. It's part of the beauty of baseball. But I do want to also talk about how Rob Manfred, who is, his deal comes up in 2026, and so he might not be the commissioner when there's the inevitable strike or lockout that will occur in, what do you think, 2027 season?
December 1, 2026 is the end of the current labor agreement.
Yeah, so there will probably not be a 2027 MLB season.
A year from now, there'll be a lockout. Or 2 years from now, there'll be a lockout.
Because they're going to put in a salary cap. And Andrew Callahan did not like that either. He thought it was the greed of the owners.
That's right.
And I said, it doesn't matter what it is what it is. And the only way to solve it is a salary cap. Or you can put a floor in there too, a floor and a ceiling, but there has to be some ceiling on how much you can spend, because this is horrible for baseball. I mean, if you're in 28 markets, there's no reason to watch your team. It's nonsense. Well, they don't want to spend anything. Okay, well, they own the teams, and this is the way it is. So, greed or non-greed, it doesn't matter. There's a problem that needs to be fixed, and they're not going to fix it themselves. And they just don't make as much money as big market teams. And they're more dependent on the local money. They're more dependent on gate. They're more dependent on all of that in smaller cities. All right, so Manfred, ESPN, they're not going to renew their contract after next year. You're getting a signal, don't worry. They're not. I'm telling you, if he doesn't get back to you by 9, just go, Daniel, is something wrong?
Hardy is currently, if you're not watching, waving his phone around the room.
You have to be like, Daniel, is something wrong? I don't want you to screw with the guy because he's a nice guy, but it is pretty funny.
He's a gentle soul.
Well, you're not making fun of him. You're
No.
just like, hey, like, is something wrong? Like,
what's up?
I just picture him getting that text and going, oh, boy. Oh, no.
I thought I was done with him.
It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable.
Oh, that discussion, those long-ass discussions about garden tools. Sat in the front seat.
He's not thinking.
It was
yet.
endless about power mowers.
How much did you talk about the snow?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weather.
How lucky he was not to have to deal with the snow.
Yeah, and how hot it is there in the summer. Ooh.
Yeah. What are you mowing with? Huh?
Did
What are you
ask
mowing
him?
with?
I like how John goes right to landscaping.
I am somewhat surprised he hasn't texted back.
I knew he wouldn't. I knew he wouldn't.
You got it, Fred.
He's got some other guy in the car right now.
I know. That's
He
the thing.
did. You know what? To his credit, he did have the Apple CarPlay going, but any messages that he got, I think he had it on like Do Not Disturb because he didn't receive.
So that's what it is.
Send anything. Yeah. So maybe
he's handling a fare.
He's driving right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he's not one of the cab drivers that are in a constant
Constantly on the phone.
conversation. And I've often wondered, who are they talking to? Like, who talks to someone this much? Like, just all night, you're just talking to someone, like, the whole night?
On FaceTime, too.
Yeah. I've had that. Like, is there anyone you talk to on the phone for, like, at 3-hour clips? This is insane.
No.
You're just in a car, like, for an hour. Like, there's a lot of traffic. You go in the airport, for instance. It takes an hour, and there's a guy on the phone with one person for an hour.
Nope.
Just chatting. Or they'll have it on speaker, but they're not speaking your language, and you can hear they're having, and there's big lapses in the conversation. It's almost like they're just existing on the phone with one another. All right, well, back to baseball. Manfred said that they're backing out of the ESPN contract. So ESPN, this is the last year with Major League Baseball. And he said he didn't like it runs through the 2028 season. And so ESPN was paying far more and offered, I guess, was paying far more than Roku and Apple Plus.
Yep.
But Manfred said that the ESPN's decision, and with the NBA, they are all in on the WNBA. They're all in on the WNBA. And if I'm running that network, and look, we're doing 20 hours a day of football coverage on most days, and that's fine, and I would be happy with that. But if my network is dependent on NBA and WNBA talk the rest of the time we're not talking about the NFL, I don't know if that's the ship I want to be on.
It is odd that, a seemingly smart group of business people have decided to make that hard of a push for that particular product, not being able to see the forest for the trees, which is, last year and during the college tournament and the drafting of Caitlin Clark and Reese.
Angel Reese.
Angel Reese. Yeah, it was compelling, and there was something there, but to not be able to see, like, okay, this is probably where this is going to end. We'll try and monopolize on it, but we're not going to push it too hard. They continue to push it.
And the thing is I know it's cheap, and that is probably part of the appeal. But in an NFL network, everyone covers the NFL, so you're not unique in that sense. You have a game. Baseball gave you a lot of content. There's a lot of baseball games and gives you a lot of content. You take that away, and now outside of the football season, you're just the NBA and the WNBA because they don't care about hockey. I know hockey's on ESPN, but they don't care. The NBA's ratings are not great. I don't see another crop of, stars in the making that are going to come and transcend the sport.
Plus, aesthetically, it's not pleasing these months anyway.
Exactly.
So,
you got the situation with the 76ers. The Knicks are playing guys that are hurt. Like, it just doesn't. If I was betting on a sport to continue to increase in popularity, I would not put my money on the NBA. Look, I know it's more popular than baseball, but is it? The World Series numbers are far better than the NBA Finals numbers. I don't know if you knew that, but they are.
I did not.
I did not either.
So, to my knowledge, they are. And, in fact, I will find them during the next break.
Okay.
And I will give that to you. The MLB playoffs, sneaky good ratings. And it's just, I just wonder if ESPN's going away. That's all. That, it's going to become just the NFL and college. But there's the SEC network and the Big Ten network. There's the NFL network. There's a bunch of all this competition. So you're splitting that pie with the NFL. And then you're just going, we don't need anything in the summer. We don't need anything in the summer except for NBA talk. And I contend that constant day-to-day NBA talk for a national audience is not hitting with at least 50% of your normal audience. Don't want to hear about it. Don't care.
Major League Baseball's television ratings for the World Series, 14.5 million viewers per game. NBA Finals, 5.8. A TV rating of 5.8.
Yeah, so they triple the rating, the World Series over the NBA Finals. The NBA, and it's not because I dislike the product. I like basketball. I like college basketball. But it's not just me personally. Like, the NBA is in big trouble. It kind of got too big for its own good. They had that disaster of an all-star game. Major League Baseball is got an older audience, and whatever else demographically, it's not that pleasing. But there's a lot of it, and when it's important, people watch it. And they care about it, and most importantly, and this has something to do with the lack of a salary cap, where do they care about it the most? New York, Boston, L.A.
Yeah.
Like, the
Philadelphia.
baseball's still big in huge cities. Yeah. I just think that ESPN, they probably can't afford it. They probably are deciding what they want to do. But when I'm in the car in the morning listening to SportsCenter, there's a lot of WNBA and women's college basketball talk, and that is where you hit him with that. Baton Rouge, Knoxville, wherever the hell, Stores, Connecticut, or wherever the hell that is.
Stores, Connecticut.
Stores, Connecticut.
Yeah.
Would you rather be in New York, L.A., Philadelphia, and Boston, or Stores, Connecticut, Baton Rouge, and Knoxville?
Yeah.
Because that's the audience. The audience is there, but they're in these podunk towns.
The only thing I can think of that, and again, you can't make up the difference that we just talked about, but if you think about the team that was left to face the Celtics, I mean, it was Dallas, a city that doesn't really care about basketball at all. You lost LeBron James. You lost all your big signature stars in the playoffs. And then to make matters worse, if you're the NBA, the Celtics blew the doors off everyone.
Well, you had Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Tatum, and Brown. And whatever, that's an NBA problem because those are 4 big stars. Those are guys that should be 4 huge stars. Look at the NBA Finals had tons of star power. You had a starter in the Olympics in Tatum. You had a guy who was a huge controversy that wasn't in the Olympic team with Jaylen Brown. You had 2 other guys that were in the Olympics, Derek White and Holiday. You had arguably the biggest young star in basketball in Luka Doncic, and you had Kyrie Irving, who's a household name in basketball circles.
Yeah,
and I mean that's in Dallas is a huge city, and Boston's a huge city.
So ratings wise, it kind of fluctuates. It goes back and forth. I was surprised that the World Series did so much better, and we can do more of this on the other side. I know we're late here. Between the Celtics and Mavericks, you would think 2 big basketball markets, it would have done better. But it was when you compare it to the Dodgers-Yankees World Series, no. The Dodgers-Yankees World Series had monster numbers. The year before, though, the NBA Finals did better between Denver and Miami than the Rangers and Diamondbacks.
Yeah, the Rangers and Diamondbacks is a historically bad matchup for the World Series.
And then back in 22, when it was Warriors-Celtics and it was Astros and Phillies, it was essentially the same. Basketball did a little better.
Yeah, so my point stands. Baseball does as well as the NBA, if not better. And you're just willing to cast that aside. If I was investing in a sport right now, it would not be the NBA. That's all I'm saying, is that I don't see that gaining popularity. And I actually see baseball with a possibility, with the way that things work, getting a bit of an uptick. I'm not saying it's going to become the NFL or anything close to it, but I could see viewership of MLB, if it's marketed right with all the rule changes and everything, and the lack of competition when it's on, getting a bit of a bit of momentum. All right, here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Celtics won their 5th in a row last night, 118-105 at TD Garden over the New York Knicks. They have tonight off. They'll open up a home road back-to-back tomorrow.
Sports Hub.
Trying to buy his friendship, despite what you and my son both say.
Well, they were there, so what would they know?
Yeah, you got the same mindset as a 14-year-old. That's the two of you are working in concert on that idea.
Well, your son's very intelligent. I'm happy to be in that company. So,
yeah,
that's right. So, if we're waiting for Daniel to see if he'll ever get back,
we can't do anything else until he texts me back. Now I'm starting to get worried.
Yeah.
I might text him at 9 o'clock just to make sure everything's okay.
Here is the debate. I don't want to have him on the air because I just think he's going to be nice and that it's going to be like whatever. I think the texting's way more fun. John said he was going to text you right back, which shows a total lack of any street smarts or human behavioral knowledge by Wallach. I said he's never going to text you back, and it looks like I'm correct. How did he ever go this long without texting you back while you were there?
That's a good question. Let me look over. There was one time when we were planning a second trip to dinner in Old San Juan, and it did take a little while. I think there was one time when it took.
What was the
maybe
normal
half an hour.
turnaround time?
5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you texted him 40 minutes ago, half an hour ago. This is not the way your relationship was in Puerto Rico, is what you're saying.
Okay.
Is there a part of you?
No.
Is there a part of you that's actually like a little disappointed that he didn't get back to you for real?
Hardy.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to read something here. What? What do you want? I'm getting worried now.
Is there a part of you that for real feels bad that he hasn't gotten back to you?
Yes.
You're a nice guy. We'll be friends.
Oh boy! Thank you, Adam.
I think
Play it again. This is the annoyance of Hardy and the
You're a
pleasure.
nice guy. We'll be friends.
It's you and the chili guy. Oh boy!
I think he's going to need a minute.
I do think it might be funny if you texted, "Daniel, is everything okay?" I'm worried you haven't gotten back to me. Would you be willing to do that?
Well, see, this one took 3 minutes. This one was the same minute.
Oof.
We shared each other's location, which I've never done with anyone on my iPhone. But when he said he was on his way, he would start sharing his location so I could track his progress.
It's makes it 100 times worse that he didn't get back to you too. Because if he just would have gotten back to you, then it would have been like
he's going to get back to me.
Then it would have been over. But the idea, because it makes it all the more uncomfortable.
It's almost 10 a.m. there.
He realizes how uncomfortable it was that you texted him, like how weird it is that you texted him.
Yeah,
and he saw it and was like, "Ugh."
Oh, here's the and it was around this time of day. Okay,
he's praying.
All right. This was Friday morning. Good morning, Daniel. Our flight has been delayed a couple hours. Can you pick us up at 2 p.m. instead? That was at 7:27 a.m. 8:17 a.m.
50 minutes.
50 minutes later. Okay. Morning, smiley face. Yeah, sure. I'll be there at 2 p.m.
All right.
So you give him until 9:15.
No.
That
think
would be the record.
Well, the point's been made. I mean,
Yeah.
but it will be funny if this show ends without Daniel getting back to him.
What's funnier though, like him not replying?
Him not
at all?
replying.
Is
Him
that
not
funnier
replying
than
at
if
all?
he replies like a really quick terse in 2 hours? Like, hey, thanks so much. Like
That's fine, but no, him not replying at all is the best because it landed exactly the way that it should have. Like, you psycho, why are you texting me? What's wrong with you? And we've all been the recipient of that text, and I'm sure we've all sent that text. Like, I've gotten texts from people, and I'm like, whoa, this is socially unacceptable, which Hardy knew he was doing when I asked him to do it. So in fairness, Hardy knows what he's doing. But it is funny because I do think that you thought he was going to get right back to you, and that I am enjoying this a little bit more than I thought I would. I'm quite proud of myself for thinking about it, because now Hardy's got to bask in. I know you don't care that you're not friends, but there is that. Now there's another human being where I sent this super awkward text to, and he knows how awkward it is,
and it's out there. And I can't take it back.
And there's no like recovering from this now. Like if you ever did go back to Puerto Rico, there's no way you could use him again.
I would absolutely use him again.
All right. Well, then he's using you.
without him, we wouldn't have known the name of the frog that we kept hearing.
Can you play the
Cookie.
frog song? Thank you. Thank you. I really like this.
I've never worked. I've worked in the service industry, and I hated everyone. Everyone who works in the service industry does. But I've never worked at a vacation destination. So I wonder when they all get together, after everyone's home and they're all at their local bar drinking, what they're saying about everyone when it's over. Because after your shift, when the restaurant closed, you all just commiserated and counted up tips and bitched about the customers. I wonder when all the Uber guys get together. In St. Martin, I made the guy, St. Lucia, I made the guy take us, because St. Lucia's a volcano. We had a guy that was taking us around. It was an anniversary. I had him take us to his local bars because I didn't want him talking about my back. So I went to these ratty ass bars with soccer on a tiny ass TV. I wanted to go to them. And the guy's cool. Yeah, cool. And he drank with us and stuff, and then drove around the island. But I wasn't with my kids.
I was gonna ask.
No, I wasn't with my
Okay,
kids,
good.
and I didn't have access to a car. But I was still drinking at the time. But everyone was. St. Lucia's a place where it's very remote. They encourage you to get going
Yeah.
right away. They want that tab getting up. Drink $15, have about 10, 11, 12 of them. You're getting out of there with quite a little bill. Well, listen. That lures out there. You've chummed the waters for Daniel with vinegar and water. You've churned the waters, and now we're gonna see if the fish bites. All right, we'll be
I think it's fine. I think he's just busy doing something like he was on Friday morning. There's a busy time in the morning for him.
Uber stuff. Sure.
Listen, Phil Perry has some information that might excite Patriots fans. We'll have that for you in just a moment.
Touch your to Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Make it 5 straight wins for the Celtics after a 118-105 victory over the Knicks at TD Garden yesterday. Jason Tatum's team saw a 27-point third-quarter lead become only 5 in the fourth, but they didn't let the game get away from them.
I think a couple things going to play is just like, don't panic. We've been there before. I guess kind of having a fresh start in the fourth. The guys that started that fourth quarter did an incredible job of getting stops at the right moment.
Tatum followed up a triple-double with 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists in this one. The Celtics open up a road back-to-back in Toronto tomorrow night. The Bruins' next game isn't until tomorrow night when they play Toronto at TD Garden. But right now, the team has some trouble to deal with. GM Don Sweeney told the media yesterday it's unlikely defenseman Hampus Lindholm will be back this season and that there's no timetable for the return of Charlie McAvoy, although he is improving following shoulder surgery. Alex Ovechkin had a hat trick in a 7-3 Washington win over Edmonton yesterday. He is 13 goals away from setting the NHL's career record. And the Red Sox lost to Toronto in Fort Myers 8-7. Garrett Crochet, 26 pitches in his Sox debut. He lasted an inning and 2/3 scoreless, and he struck out 4. Alex Bregman played third base. He was 3 for 3 in his debut with a homer and 3 RBIs. Tanner Houck faces the Yankees in Fort Myers later today. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the DeMoore McKim School of Business at Northeastern University. You'll gain business strategy, expertise, leveraging AI data and technology. Connect with them at an admissions event at northeastern.edu/business events. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Here we go.
Boom. I win. Boom.
Yeah. It's so funny.
We've got a passion for Boston sports.
Get angry.
98.5 The Sports Hub. Fred describes himself in 7 words.
A guy in tights and a cape.
And Hardy with blunt honesty.
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
Dutcher and Hardy continues on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Dutcher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can call us 617-779-0985. We're on YouTube where the picture has changed. Where all 3 of us are standing. It's very exciting. And then we'll take a new picture and maybe we can spread that around. Real quick, did you hear about the kid from University of Rhode Island pitching against Oregon? He 10 scoreless shutout innings.
No, I did not.
I don't think he threw above 90 the whole game. 10 scoreless innings against.
How many pitches is that?
119, 120, I think.
Oh, all right, that's better than I thought it was going to be.
Well, he was dominant, throwing in the zone and off speed.
Great,
very good performance from the kid. All right, look. The Patriots are in a situation where they need a lot of help. You look at the free agency class, and you saw one name stand out as someone that they could definitely use, and that is T. Higgins. And it was believed that Cincinnati was going to put the franchise tag on him, and that was going to be it. But Phil Perry had this to say. Yeah.
Am I to be playing this audio?
Who is?
I've got it. Good. No, yes, that's fine. That's fine. I can play it. Sure.
Yes, absolutely. Here we go.
Okay, here we go with Phil Perry.
I'll believe it when I see it. T. Higgins on the Bengals in 2025 and beyond. Now, does that mean they just let him go to free agency and all this talk about a franchise tag is bunk? Or does it mean they franchise tag him and trade him? Because the Bengals are the Bengals, Mike. But I think even more importantly, you talk to football people, they look at that roster and they say, that's a historic offense. How can you excuse it to yourself to give that guy, T. Higgins, all kinds of money, only setting yourself up to pay Jamar Chase even more down the line?
Yeah, so it would be 1 year with T. Higgins. I want to applaud whoever took their Fisher Price tape recorder and taped the actual television. If only there was a device to capture things off of TV directly. But it's interesting. So if you franchise T. Higgins and trade him, if you're the Patriots, what are you willing to part with to get T. Higgins just to get him to sign him to a big deal? Like, so now you're talking about some compensation in return. And how much is this is when it gets wonky. Like, how much do you want to invest in a veteran wide receiver where the best years that he has conceivably will be years where you're no good. And how much future assets do you want to give up to get that piece? Like, how much do free agent franchised wide receivers go to? Because you're basically just getting the rights to negotiate.
Not
with
a
the
one.
guy.
Not a
no,
one.
you're not going to give up a number one
Nope.
pick. But say you had to give up a number 2 pick or even a number 3 pick.
Andrew Callahan had an article yesterday, I believe, in the Boston Herald, just what he thinks the Patriots should do, and he said a lot of this on Thursday when he was here, that he thinks the Patriots should trade a 2 and a conditional 4 to Seattle for DK Metcalf.
I'm not trading a second-round pick for anything. For a declining DK Metcalf, I'm not doing that. He loves DK Metcalf.
Well, I don't know who's older at this point, Higgins or Metcalf.
Well, Metcalf's declining. I mean, that you have to agree. He's not the number one receiver in Seattle.
No, he's not.
There's a reason
Jackson
they trade
Smith
him.
and Jigba is the number one receiver.
Right. So, I mean, you can find receivers in the second round if you're any good. You can find a receiver in the third round. If I'm the Patriots,
Metcalf, by the way, is a year older.
Okay, fair enough, but he's declining.
Yeah, Metcalf is 27 and Higgins is 26.
Yes, and DK Metcalf, in my opinion, is on the decline. If he was a superstar still, Seattle wouldn't be getting rid of him or be willing to part with him. And they're in the process of where they're, if you believe in Geno Smith, they should have made the playoffs last year. They had a good record. I think they were the first, what did they have, 10 wins? They were the first 10-win team not to make the playoffs in like how many years?
The Patriots are in a situation now where they're going to have to overspend to bring in a number 1 to help this kid out.
That's fine, but if there's no number 1 available, it's not money. It's spending assets. You can give T. Higgins as much money as you want, and that's fine. But T. Higgins, if he's, what is he, 26?
26.
So T. Higgins is going to be 29 by the time you're legitimately competitive, best case scenario.
Sounds right. 28,
right.
29.
So am I willing, and if you hit on a second round pick, that kid's just entering his prime and is still under a rookie deal when you're getting into being a really competitive team.
This is going to be an interesting situation for Elliott Wolf because he's the guy who took Jalen Polk, who was a spectacularly bad last year, and he was a second-round pick. So we'll see. Wolf has control of the draft board again after whiffing on his first second-round option.
Well, we don't know if he has control of the draft board. He's involved in the drafting, but he certainly doesn't have the control that he had last year.
It's true. There's a new sheriff in town this year. Let's hope so.
Like you can't. I don't like the argument of like, well, they've never picked receivers before. Well, that's fine. I mean, the team, the uniform, has not picked receivers before, but the people in that room, at one point at A.J. Brown, when you took N'Keal Harry, I don't know if they drafted A.J. Brown, but they had him. I mean, they know the importance of of a number 1 receiver, and they're just receivers in every draft. You can get them in the second round. There's productive college kids in big programs that are available in the second round. I wouldn't give up a second round pick for anything right now. Because the hit on the pick, the kid's cost controlled and a kid, and he'll be blossoming just as you are getting to that point.
I will say this, and we discussed this last week as well. Say Higgins does get franchised, and it looks like Tampa's doing everything they can to bring in Godwin, or re-sign Godwin, and he's like the clear, far and away number 2 free agent wide receiver. If you can't get either of those two guys, don't overspend on the rest of them. Overspend on as many offensive linemen as you can, and then see what you can do draft-wise.
The offensive line makes sense in that you need to protect May. That you can't just have May, and not only for his health, but for his mechanics and in his psyche and everything else. You can patch together, you go crazy in free agency and patch together a line. That's not the line that's going to win you a Super Bowl, but it's a line that's going to keep your quarterback upright. That I understand. I still want to give up picks to go get offensive linemen, but in free agency, you got an assload of cap room. The cap's raising. Go crazy, whatever you want. You're not mortgaging your future for that. You're not doing this instead of. You're not just going on some wild spending spree for no reason where it's just going to be a bunch of guys like the last time that are going to,
You want specifically, if you're going to go wild, focus on a position group. I agree with that.
And the position group is offensive line because then there's real benefits of it regardless of your win-loss record. Like keeping May upright and keeping him able to grow as a quarterback you could make that call. Now, also a great receiver would help. You can argue if T. Higgins is that anyway.
But the odds are increasing that you won't be able to get that this coming summer or this coming spring.
Right.
Free agency. And if you're going to spend that number 4 overall pick on an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, probably not in the draft either.
Yeah, and that's teams that draft receivers that hit keep the receiver. So, great wide receivers are not often available. Great players aren't usually available in free agency. There's always something.
Bring in other wide receivers.
There's a reason why they're available, no matter how great they once were, or even what you think they are right now. There's a good reason for it. But the only thing I would say, Fred, about the going after tackles with picks is I wouldn't do it either. As long as you have assured yourselves that you're going to be able to do something with those picks this draft and for drafts going forward. And that could be something as simple as we're doing it differently now. You don't have to have the exact plan in place, but something has to change with the way the Patriots select their players, because I don't think much changed in the last go round.
Well,
and they need they need new ideas and they need something, but
I don't think Belichick would have taken May. I don't think he would have taken May. I think if Belichick would have traded down and let someone else take May.
The rumor was he loved Jaden Daniels, loved him, and if he was
that
running
rumor
the board,
started during the playoffs?
No.
Let me guess when that rumor was started. Was it conference championship weekend?
No.
Was Jordan seen wearing?
Jordan loved Jaden Daniels. They're the same age, so
Yeah. Was she wearing a Commander's jacket in some commercial that she wiggled herself into?
I know. But I thought when Belichick left, they revamped everything, Hardy. If I remember correctly, remember Alonzo Highsmith came in and he was going to be the guy who revamped the entire valuation system top to bottom?
Well, they
didn't exactly hit on all these picks.
They were still miles behind in analytics and everything. Again, the Patriots aren't built like other NFL teams. It's very antiquated, their system. Belichick kept them in the Stone Age, and it's going to take time. Look, you just did what you needed to do. You brought in a whole new regime. Conceivably, they know how football operations work and that they need to expand their whole front office. That there's literally things that exist for other teams, like departments in the front office that exist in other teams that don't exist in New England. You talk to anybody who covers the NFL, Burt Breer, it's like the Stone Age.
Yeah.
The Patriots just don't have personnel in departments. They don't have departments that other teams have. They're way behind in analytics. They're way behind in scouting. They're way behind in everything. So throw the past drafts out. It doesn't matter. That's like saying, Tampa Bay sucked in the 70s, so they're never going to win. You're just talking about a uniform at that point.
Look, I'm cautiously optimistic. Obviously, you have the quarterback. You have a chance to be optimistic, which is something we haven't been in the last 3 or 4 years. But I just hope that this new regime, we look back at this draft and go, okay, here's the turn. Here we can look back and go, aha, this is when we bottomed out, the Patriots bottomed out and started coming back up.
Let me ask you a philosophical question. Do you think that the Giants were stupid? Forget where he went, but just do you think they were dumb to get rid of Saquon Barkley?
No, I did not.
Yeah,
not at the time.
They weren't, and it's an ignorant point when people go, "Oh boy, the Giants." Now, look, should they have traded him in the division so the Eagles win the Super Bowl? Probably not. It's not a great look.
What I thought at the time is running backs are devalued, and then, by the way, they found another guy immediately. This guy Tracy's pretty good, and they replaced him with.
Do the Giants make the playoffs last year if they have Saquon Barkley? No, they're still terrible.
No,
so they made the right decision. That's my point. Is that you have a ton of money to spend if you want to get T. Higgins, great. Spend the money. It's not going to put you in cap jail or anything. You're fine. But I'm not trading picks. I'm just not doing it to get a guy whose prime is now. That's not going to help you win a Super Bowl. If the goal is to win the goal is not to win 6-7 games next year and then 6-7 the next year. The goal is to build something. And by the time you're good, these picks, if you're going to be good, these picks are going to hit. You can whiff on one or two. That's how you build a team.
That's
the look at the Eagles drafts. Look at the Lions drafts. Look at the Chiefs drafts. These good teams draft well. That's how they're built. They're not built in free agency.
The goal of the Patriots, I would bet, would be the guys you draft this year will be the core of the team that goes 12-5
Yes.
in 3 years.
Exactly.
That's the goal. And by the way, and again, they whiffed on so many drafts, like 6-7 years or whatever it is.
It got Belichick fired.
The depth of success of these drafts was so poor that they are all starting from ground zero. That's the problem.
Well, and part of that was, again, if I may repeat myself for the 10th millionth time, much to the annoyance of everyone, that was part of the problem when you went crazy in free agency, is you put a Band-Aid on a
But in case someone tries to compare this, yes, spend a lot of money in free agency this year too, but on a specific grouping. Don't bring in 8 guys who play different positions. Bring in 3 guys who play offensive line and spend an exorbitant amount of money if you can on T. Higgins. And that's your off season.
I would pay,
draft.
but again, I'd pay for T. Higgins. I wouldn't give up anything. And again, there's a very real reason to bring in an offensive line. Again, it's not going to be the offensive line you win a Super Bowl with, maybe a piece or two, but it keeps the kid upright. So if you're a fan and you're watching a game, at least there's a professional offensive line on the field.
Yeah,
you're not going to get that through the draft. I understand that.
And there's, like you said, the goal I think is and should be to have this draft lead toward, a good record 2-3 years from now. But I'm not opposed to having something that approaches watchable when it comes to the offense this season either.
Right,
and you got to keep Drake May upright.
Right, exactly. And I will say this too, is that if Travis Hunter's on the board and he's a corner, and you go, we already have a corner, take the corner.
Jesus. Can you imagine
if
Travis Hunter is there? And I've seen this in mock drafts. Can you imagine if Travis Hunter is there and they don't take him?
You take
my
him.
God.
If you think he's the best player available at that pick, you take that pick.
Yes.
I don't care what position he plays. If you want to have 2 number 1 corners, that's a good problem to have.
Jesus.
So,
and you know what? He could sub in for 15 plays playing wide receiver too.
Sure.
Which he automatically is your best wide receiver also.
But my point is that corner is one of the 2 positions where you have strength. You're one of the best corners in the league, probably.
I don't care.
But you still take Travis Hunter. You're not in you're not in a position to nitpick. You're this high in the draft for a reason. Take the best players. And if the worst case is you have 2 great corners, then you have 2 great corners, and if you want to move one of them, you move one of them.
Nice.
You can do whatever you want.
Or you keep both.
Or you
with
keep
Hunter
both.
on a rookie contract.
Exactly.
Yes.
Or you keep
both of them on a rookie contract.
Yeah, there might be a time you have to make a decision, but now it's not the time. So, all right. And then if you have to make a decision, you trade one of them.
God.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment with our award-winning email segment that's got the world on its hind legs.
alarm clock sounds like this, this is the show for you. Toucher and Hardy, the Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
That's the kind of brilliant mind that comes up with something like reading emails. By the way, congratulations to the guys that were ripping off Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce's houses while they played for taking pictures and putting them online. Rap snitches, telling all the business. Sit in the court, they be the own star witness. Do you see the perpetrator? Yeah,
I'm right here.
Just make a song about it, take pictures about it, put it on the internet. A lot of good it's doing you. A lot of good it's doing you. I want to be a YouTuber. Oh, yeah? Who makes money on YouTube? Mr. Beast. How many people are on YouTube?
Yeah.
1 billion. All right. Well, there you go. There's your answer. All right, look. The big story today is Hardy went on and on and on. He had a contest and everything made up. He was so taken away with this. Ever taken an hour to get back to you while you were in Puerto Rico?
I don't remember.
Tell the audience what you texted him, so in case they don't know.
Hey, Daniel, back to work this morning and telling my coworkers what an awesome trip we had, largely thanks to you, ! Hope you're doing well, and thanks again for everything. That was at 8:25 a.m. It is now 9:28 a.m., and Daniel has not texted me back.
Oof. Oof.
Sorry, bud.
No, it's just so... he knew it was douchey. He knew that it's not something he normally would have done. I asked him to do it, and he did it as a favor to the show. But it is still out there, and Daniel doesn't know that it was for the show. Daniel thinks that Hardy is really just a guy who couldn't spend 2 days without talking to him.
I probably would have texted him at some point anyway. Either Marcy or just probably my son busted my balls over the weekend, asked me if I had texted Daniel, and I said no. But I thought for a moment I thought about doing it.
So he was actively making fun of you for this whole Daniel thing.
Yeah, I would say more passively, but the important part was he was making fun of me. Yeah.
Do you think that like he has a journal of like all these things that he's afraid to sound out? Like my dad and Daniel were doing this and that. He's going to write a book.
No, he's probably telling it to his therapist at school that I don't know that he's seeing.
Don't all kids see therapists at school? All right, look, here's the deal. Mike says, Fred, great show. Hardy's having a tough time being ghosted by Daniel, which he is being. He's being ghosted is exactly what's happening. What would really put the nail is a text following this text from you saying, hey, just making sure everything's okay, because there's nothing like when you're ghosting someone.
Nope.
When you're ghosting someone, them not accepting the ghosting.
Yeah.
That's when things get very
That I
uncomfortable.
will not do.
I've been the person doing the ghosting, and I've been the person getting ghosted, and I've had it happen to me, and I've done it to other people. That like sitting on a text that hasn't been replied to and replying back, I've done it and I've had it done to me, and it's very uncomfortable both ways. More uncomfortable, I think, to get the text than it is to send it. Because you're just like, why is this person just still contacting me? Like, it's obvious that this is not a conversation anymore. He says maybe he should go home and watch Andy McDowell. Maybe 4 Weddings and a Funeral to put you in a better mood for tomorrow.
That would help. I'm not opposed to it. I got an email early this morning from Sarah from Everett.
Oh, Jesus.
Hardy,
she called in a lot when you were gone, by the way.
I'm angry, and I'm going to say mean things about that one-eared bird in the third seat. As you know, I'm a very jovial person, glass half full kind of gal. Walla called me creepy on Friday. Way to deduce the situation, John. Turn on your other ear and realize I'm a fan of the show. I met my boyfriend in 2007 at Heavy Metal Karaoke Bellingham. We're still together. Sorry, Fred. I'm invested, stupid. I've turned a zillion people onto this show while you were taking it from...
Whoa! You don't have to read that.
Hockey guy. Only creepy thing from 6 to 10 a.m. is the amount of phlegm you produce. It sounds like you're regurgitating food to your baby chicks.
I like that Sarah's attention has gone to Wallach now.
Yeah.
That
I have 3 emails that basically say that she's really angry. Yeah.
What did you say on Friday?
I don't remember now. Did I say she was creepy, Fred?
Probably, I don't know. But
I
she
don't
called,
remember.
Well, yeah.
she called in twice last week, and we put
Okay.
her on the air, and she was very meandering. I mean, she was all over the place. The second time we took her, it was too much. She was all over the place.
She must have called in when Dan was here.
Well, you got to let her cook a little bit. If you were trying to get her, to arrive at the point, it probably went poorly.
Yeah, I didn't really know what she was calling in
Yeah.
about, but I didn't call her creepy. I just said it
I
was
don't remember
meandering.
that. I'm sorry, Sarah. I have no memory of calling you creepy, but I apologize.
I do take issue with the fact that I don't know who she is, and she has seen me walking around my neighborhood and drive by, but yet she's throwing the gauntlet in my direction as if I'm somehow ever have contacted her in any way, shape, or form in my entire life. Mark says, now Hardy knows how everyone who emails him feels. Thanks, Chopper. Hardy says that Daniel, that your lack of response to email is as much like Daniel's ghosting of you.
You know what's funny about that? Wallach tipped me off on an email I received early February that I finally replied to this morning. Been a listener for the show for many years. I work for the United States Tennis Association. I am on the team called Red Ball Tennis. It's another way to play tennis. It can be played pretty much everywhere. Tennis courts, parking lots, pickleball courts. Hardy, I sent you a bunch of rackets and stuff. I'm hoping you give it a try. So that big box of tennis rackets and the tennis net and all those tennis balls we got, there was an email associated with this back on February 4th that I never saw.
Isn't it interesting? So the tennis people obviously got together, and they said, we need to do something because pickleball's taking over. They're literally getting rid of tennis courts. What do you want to do? Pickleball with a different kind of ball.
Yeah. Tennis balls that are dead. Dead tennis balls.
Well, it's pickleball.
Yes.
But we're selling the equipment.
Yes.
Why don't you just turn to a pickleball company? I mean, you're trying to invent a new sport, and I understand what it is. It's like roller hockey. Like we're gonna stickball. Kids everywhere. Think about it. And kids in Harlem will be putting a net up between two brownstones and playing tennis. This is the way it's going to take it to the streets. We're going to do this whole guerrilla marketing campaign. Da 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 da. No, you're not. No, you're not. None of this is going to work. Just take the L right now until people get sick of pickleball.
Yeah, people will go back to tennis.
Oh, I think so. It's a way better workout. It's more fun. It's much harder to do in terms of.
For 5 minutes, I'm like, oh, this is brutal. You can't watch it. It's terrible.
It's like good that Agassi and Kraft have turned their back on the game. That's good for them.
Dave emailed and said, I caught the end of the conversation, but I'm wondering how much producer of Toucher and Hardy pays, and that Adam 12 can afford a family ski vacation at these current prices. I thought he was a man who cared about the bottom line. I have 2 kids, and we did a week at a popular Maine ski mountain. I want to say it cost us about $1,100 a day. We're lowly Dedham people, and I felt every bit of it. I also viewed Adam 12 as a man who tosses money around like manhole covers, but Maine isn't cheap anymore.
Why is Dedham lowly? First of all,
It's not.
It's right next to West Roxbury, which Joe Murray claims is like living in Boston, which it's not. But go ahead.
So I was in Maine Thursday through Sunday, staying at my folks' second home. So lodging taken care of.
Yeah, second home must be nice.
It's beautiful log cabin, 4-season. It was my birthday, and as a birthday gift, I asked my parents if they would buy me and the kids ski passes so we could have a day out, and that's exactly what we did. So
now you're telling us that it was your birthday and we didn't know.
Yeah, I don't care about
what day was it?
It was Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thanks.
Happy
Appreciate
birthday.
it. Yeah, so that was what I said. I want to take the kids to Black Mountain in New Hampshire. We drove the hour there, had a great day out. So yes, not a. All I paid for was gasoline.
When you didn't ski, what did you do?
I snowboard. I don't ski. My kids snowboard.
Whatever. Okay, so when you weren't snowboarding, fine.
I did some snowshoeing. Went down to Rennie's in Bridgeton. The youngest needed a new pair. I just did have to buy some new boots for the youngest.
Here's what I want you to do: today, right around 3:00 when it's 50 degrees, I want you to get out on that lake, start walking. Please do it.
Little trek across Walden Pond.
Yeah, I want you to fall right in the middle of Walden Pond.
How old are you now, Adam?
I turned 48.
and you have specific wishes that you give to your parents for birthday gifts?
Just in this case, because my mom still asked, "What do you want for your birthday?" And I said, "Well, in this case, this is what I would like."
Okay.
My parents said to me for my birthday, they said, we're going to pay for one of your vacations, Zoe's vacation or Miles' vacation. And I said, no, you're not. If you think you're paying for that, you're out of your mind. And then I'm like, you don't even want to know how much it costs. And I told them how much it costs, and they're like, oh, no.
Oh, God, we're not paying for that.
Yeah, we're not paying for that. They're like, we're not paying for that. No. I'm like, you guys don't know what it costs to travel because you go on Vanguard cruises. Or whatever, Viking cruises, the riverboat cruises for old people.
Yeah.
And my fantasy is a young couple to go, like,
we're
going
go
to
someplace cold.
Like, we're going to the Riviera. And, like, there's this beautiful riverboat that goes through the Riviera and, like, goes to all these great ports. Let's get on it. And then they get on it and they realize it's one of those Viking cruises. And everyone's geriatric and wearing diapers. And you're stuck on that boat with them for 7 days. I always think of that because my parents have those catalogs laying around because they still make catalogs because they know who their audience is.
They know their demographic.
Yeah, they need that. They need that thing in the mailbox, and if you put it in the mailbox, they're looking at it. That's direct to consumer advertising.
Yep.
You know, and my parents will keep that next to the toilet. 20 years. My parents have magazines next to the toilet in the basement. Might have been there for. There's Sports Illustrated with like Ewing on the cover.
They're probably worth something. You probably like sell them for a couple of bucks on
Georgetown
32 sales
Ewing.
on eBay.
All right.
with a gray T-shirt underneath.
One last story. Okay. So when I used to go to my father-in-law's house, he doesn't live it anymore. He had this big like mansion, and I used to go there for Thanksgiving, and I would he never used his basement. It was a furnished basement. And I would just camp in the basement. Like I wouldn't leave. And the kids would come down and hang out, or they would go up. Like it was just, I didn't leave that basement. So I would get super bored. And I would go, he had one of those old projection flat screens with like the 3 lights. And I would just get super bored. So I would go into the storage area and start poking around. And one day I found these 2 boxes of Sports Illustrated. They were old Sports Illustrated. I was so bored I started going through them. And I took one of them out and I put him down. Thanksgiving dinner comes. And one of the sons of the woman that my ex-father-in-law was married to comes over. He's a really good guy, but he sees that I have the Sports Illustrateds out, and he's like, "Oh no! Those are my Sports Illustrateds." And I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Oh no! Put them back." And so I'm like, "Let's see how much these are worth." There. First of all, you didn't know they were your Sports Illustrated. You did not remember that you had 2 boxes of Sports Illustrated from when you were 14 in the storage room of your father-in-law, stepfather-in-law's basement.
But now that you know, let's see what type of booty we've uncovered.
Yeah,
here.
like let's see what we can unload these for. 50 cents, and then you got to ship it to Colorado. Let's have fun with that. Let's go through the manpower to put all these. Yeah, they're worth a lot of money. Sure. Let's take a day and take a picture of them and describe them and put all the specifics up on eBay, and let's do a 7-day auction. And then let's start the bidding at 25 cents. And then when they get bought for 25 cents, let's take it to the post office, buy packaging for it, and ship it off. You don't know that you didn't know those Sports Illustrateds were down here. They're worth money. Get out of here with that. You know, they make up 2 million of them. Every issue, there was 2 million of them. What do you think? That no one kept them? That's ridiculous. Yeah. Ridiculous.
Here's a 1965. I went back. Let's see. This is 60 years.
Yeah.
A 60-year-old Sports Illustrated. You can be yours right now. Just the buy it now price on eBay is $5.99.
Good. Yeah, and has it sold?
No.
No.
You can buy it now.
You would buy it now. So that's that. You can. There's a way you can look. I don't know if you know how to do it, but like you can see that it's been up there for like 6 years. Like the Kozar Merino Sports Illustrated that I had in 1984. He had it, and I was like, "Ooh, I had this."
I remember that.
And you know how much of it I read? I flipped through it for maybe 30 seconds, and I was like, "This is boring." Oh yeah. The Jets had Wesley Walker. Okay. Then you put it back. It's not like they're not online. Forget it. You know, there's the internet now. All right, we'll be back with that. You think email's world famous? Wait until you hear the stack. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Jason Tatum had 25 points, 10 rebounds.
It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. We're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. There was a guy in the little couch area out in front of our studio that for a second looked like Crash 20 years ago.
Oh, that would have been a nice surprise.
I was like, holy moly. I'm like, hat on and everything. I was like, oh my goodness.
Pre-veneers or post-veneers, Crash?
I didn't see that smile. You could see that smile from 10 miles away.
But that was one of the funniest shows ever, is the day he came in with his new teeth.
And it was so hard because the whole Baba Booey veneer thing.
Right,
but,
obviously.
And so, like, you don't want to... But we didn't know the severity of the dental procedure
I'm just
he
thinking
got.
about it right now. Like it was like almost he was pranking us.
So
It was what it felt like.
So Crash is like this like scumbag from Florida, like that big drunk and everything. And
Good friend of yours.
He's a good friend of mine. If you don't know who he was, and he was on the show, and it was he's a great guy and a very interesting character. So I don't know how, but somehow through the station, I don't know how it all happened. He got some mad scientist dentist to file all his teeth down to literal fangs and then put porcelain veneers on every single tooth.
Jesus.
So now if they break, it's like $2,000. Like if he chips one of them, he says it's like, he wishes if he could do anything, if he could go back, he would never have done it. Sorry if you're a dentist doing this procedure. It seems awful severe. And he came in, and we knew he was having this dental surgery because it was like a 5-6 hour dental surgery. Like it was a big deal. I think he missed work. And he came in the next day and he smiled, and it was ludicrous. It looked like a brand new set of urinals. Just like, I mean, you want to talk about the teeth were 10 times bigger and 1,000 times whiter. Now, I'm aware, obviously, of the whole Howard Stern, Gary puppet and everything, so you're walking a very fine line with these teeth jokes. But Adam's right, it was almost a prank. Like, they went, do you want to get, like, teeth? How white do you want them? Oh, I want them white.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want them almond brown.
blind people.
I want Edgar Winter teeth. Yeah.
97.5.
No, that's when he did Crash D. When he pretended to be black
Smitty,
on the
man,
black
come
stage.
on, man. Smitty, middle of the road.
Crash was a radio reporter, and they would do radio reports. He used to go up in an actual helicopter.
Oh, yeah.
And they did radio reports for like a bunch of different radio stations, and he did one of the black stations, hot in Atlanta, and they asked him to be Crash D. So Crash would go, "Hey, Crash D," and then he would go do appearances with them, and people will be like, "Oh Lord, you're white. What's going on?" He did that for several years. Radio was a lot more fun. It was a lot more fun.
Well, I have a text. I haven't looked at it yet.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah. So if you don't know, earlier in the show, Hardy was going on and on and on about this guy, Daniel, that drove him around. He made a game out of it. So I said, why don't you text him and tell him like how much, just to text him and see how long it gets back to you. Well, he did get back to you. This is
I don't know.
news.
I have a text. I haven't.
Oh, you don't even know if it's
it
from
might not
I
be
don't
Daniel.
even know
him.
it's from Daniel.
Oh, I
Oh,
thought
boy.
it was from Daniel.
That's
No.
what I thought, too.
You think I would reveal it like that? No, I just
Okay.
I showed now 2 text messages.
Oh, boy.
Interesting.
Is it from Daniel? He texted Daniel and he said, hey, I'm telling everyone about you. Like,
Uh-huh.
All right, let's see.
It's a text saying one of my prescriptions is ready, and it's a text from Be Real.
Oof. That text is
Sorry,
just
bud.
hanging.
That's terrible.
So how do you feel, honestly?
I mean, the Be Real text is insult to injury.
Of course.
Surprised more than anything, and a little hurt.
Yeah.
I knew that he wasn't going to get back to you.
Yeah. You're not his one and only.
Now, what would really be funny is if tomorrow... he
More
do-
surprised than hurt.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised at all. You don't offer him any financial gain now, so there's no reason to get back to you. But what would be funny... Now, you got 24 hours. You got 20 hours to mull this over. But what would be funny if he never gets back to you today, if you just texted Daniel can you please just let me know you're okay? And see if he gets back to you.
Oh.
Because that would be funny. I mean, you're never going to see him again. So, and the damage is already done. It exists in the universe. It is out there in the
It's out there. I mean, we're coming up on an hour and a half.
And this
it's
is
been since
this
I texted him.
now we're in legitimate. He never took this long to get back to you in Puerto Rico.
No. 50 minutes one time was the
one
longest
time.
it ever
Sometimes he
took.
got back to you like literally immediately.
Things he had to do.
But he gave us the restaurant recommendations. He was so pleased when I told him that we actually did have dinner at La Gorita.
Yeah.
And he was so thrilled about it. He
Check
showed
out the
us
website of that place. Looks like a good spot.
Shows the church he went to with his grandmother. He brought us gifts and my little Puerto Rican pin.
I see that. You put it on
your
your hat there. Yes.
What if it was all just a lie?
What if none of it happened?
What if he just drugged you, and that was all like an elaborate dream?
That would somehow feel better than this feels.
Well, listen, I think we all agree that if you don't get one by tomorrow, you need to know if something's wrong. It's the right thing.
If he doesn't text back at some point today, tomorrow, I will, because then I'll be pissed. Because I'll have gone from hurt to angry.
Because someone's been on hold for an hour saying they're Daniel, and I think if I take that call, it's going to be nothing but offensive and get us in trouble.
Give me the first 3 digits of the area code.
It's not Daniel. It's a Boston area code.
Well, then forget it.
No, but I'm not taking it because Lord knows what voice is going to come out of that guy. Some guy in South
doing a Ricky Ricardo
Exactly.
imitation. No, thank you.
I've been around long enough to know so I appreciate the passion, Daniel. Fake Daniel on the phone, but that's a real no-win situation in 2025. Any voice you give us is coming back with it's coming back with it's not going to go over well with the audience, or at least a portion of the audience. All right, that'll do it for us. YouTube, I need to get this neck surgery post-haste.